Hey guys, it's me, RDV, and we're back with Zach and
What's
all
up?
special guests, Mr. Common America himself, or I guess
Half
I
of Common
half
America.
the Common
Yeah.
America. I mean, the art you see, but the man who tells the story sadly could not join us tonight. He's busy. Hopefully we'll get Mark on the show next time, and hopefully we'll get Doug on here as well. This is Tim Lim. If you can't tell by the rabbit, you can't tell by the Common America.
The
We're
burger.
definitely not doing this for shilling for views.
Hey everybody! Hey, what's
Ah!
going on? Hey, wait! I thought this was a geeky puppet show. Oh crap! Damn!
This is. I'm a puppet for the puppets. I'm the human puppet.
This is kind of awkward.
Well, if Mr.
Later.
Rabbit's going to come back and read with us on Thursdays.
Oh, what the heck? I bet. Jeez, he's never talked before. Did you know he sounded like an old man?
Kind of. I kind of
That's
got that. It
weird.
sounds like a grandfather or something.
Yeah. Well,
I
he
don't wanna laugh at that.
he's been around since 1942 at least. So geez.
That's true. That's
Yeah.
true.
I don't want to laugh at that because we'll be laughing at how old the person is.
When did he learn how to talk? That's what I want to know. Like I
Uh,
thought
he-
he only talked in like emoji symbols. to
Yeah,
other
no,
animals.
Well,
that's
I think it's because he's been drinking too many hops.
That's a new trick. That's a new trick for me. It's kind of like Snake Eyes in the GI Joe comics. Like there was an issue in the series. It was one of the best ones. It was when they introduced that goofy like Jason costume that he was wearing, and they had to infiltrate this like this building where they had like robot androids that looked like world leaders. And I
Okay.
swear there was a typo in there because Snake Eyes actually talked, and
Oh.
and the word balloon bubble actually went to him too. So I remember in my head as a kid, I always thought everything was canon, and I thought to
Yeah.
myself, I was like, oh, he
Okay.
can talk, he just chooses not to.
Yeah, I remember like somewhere I thought, yeah, because they somewhere they changed it up because first I thought he had like something done to his vocal cords to where he couldn't talk, but then down the line it was like no, it was like a discipline. He just learned not to talk. He chose not to. It's like which one is it? I don't
And of
know.
course, you get the comedic effect when he finally does talk. It's like someone's just pissed off because the whole entire time he could talk and didn't say anything.
Actually,
It's
what
like-
he should do is let me see if I can find him again. Let's see if we can get him to talk. Hey, come over here. Hey. It's okay. You're friendly. Oh, domo arigato. RDV-san. Zaku-san. Ohayou gozaimasu. Konnichiwa.
Konnichiwa.
Wow.
Domo arigato. Usagi-san.
Sayonara. He does speak Japanese. I mean, he is from Japan, so.
That's
You know,
true. That's
Now
true.
I just want the YouTube short stories where he just give like 30 seconds of the rabbit and that's it. He just says like the word of the day.
Hey, I like that. I like that
Yeah.
idea.
That's cool. That's like yeah, because what is it in like the Demon Slayer anime? They do like the little historical bits at the end. It's like you
Yeah.
could do that with Usagi and be
I
like,
like that idea.
carrot.
I'm gonna run that by Mark because we could put it in the webcomic. We actually have a lot of Japanese readers who read the webcomic.
Yeah.
And I think they would love that because there was a time, I think it was like 2 weeks ago, we put Japanese into the comic because Mark can actually read and write with some degree of proficiency, and so they loved it when we did that. So that's
You know,
something
a lot of my ideas come from other people's ideas.
Oh.
Other people's- it's like I said, I tweak ideas. I mean, like as far as like the reason I say the word of the day, obviously everybody's done that.
Yeah.
There's a guy on Instagram I follow, and it's just funny. This is like I go. He just says every day it's a toilet paper guy, and
Yeah.
Eric Brain, you should sue him because your toilet paper guy. When we read the books, talks. Basically, the puppet does. He says the poop word of the day, which is the most stupidest thing ever. But he every day he says instead of taking a poop, he says I'm dropping the Browns off at the Super Bowl or just and he's on day 50 and he's come up with so many different terms the way to even say it. I was
Yeah.
like, when is this gonna end?
Yeah.
Get an idea. So it's like I thought about that. It's like that is the most genius thing you do. He's gained so many views. The guy is actually teamed up with other puppets. There's a guy who has a Raider puppets, goes
Uh-huh.
to Raiders games. And just like it's the world is just growing with puppets. It's
Yeah.
insane.
I like
So I-
Sesame Street is now
so-
real life.
Well, yes,
I like
So
I like puppets. I
Steve
think they're
Chappelle
funny.
had puppets on his show. I could tell you. I mean, they're in a heptime murder puppets, so it's like puppets have been growing in popularity, especially among adults. Because usually just be for Mr. Rogers, and that was about it. But like kids that
You
grew
know
up.
what? You gave me an idea. We're doing plush toys in the fall, but in next year we should do a puppet like a patriotter puppet, and he doesn't have to talk. He can like eat
Yeah.
stuff. That would be
Yeah.
fun.
That
Like I
would
said,
be cool, yeah.
just the 30-second clips, you know, you can do that, and it's in like, you know, every day incentive to come back to read the webtoon.
Yeah.
Which
Hey,
y'all's
new
webtoons
chapter.
too. I've been loving the webtoons. I
Oh,
go and
thank
like
you.
read through them. I was like, these are clever. That's something I love about y'all's. Even just like,
No,
you know, Black
didn't-
Ops and all that.
I didn't
your
get a chance
puns
to
and
check the
everything.
webtoon yet. It's always on my. I've been through my books and stuff doing the YouTube stuff here, so it's always on the back of my mind. Like I got to get to it, but I never can to. The webtoon, is it a typical webtoon where it scrolls?
Yeah, it scrolls up and down.
Okay, is there an option where you can just click to the right? You know,
No.
because there's some websites websites that have the mangas where you can actually do that. You can click and it just goes to the next thing, cuts it. You know, but
I'll tell you what's good about ours though is that the webtoons are short, so you're not going to be scrolling for more than maybe 10 seconds. At
like
the
it's
most.
basically like your Sunday's
Yeah.
comic book strip.
They're basically a Sunday comic book strip.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, it's,
Yeah.
it's typically 3 panels and then a splash, and that's it. Also, please be warned, the art is rough, because my thing is that I have to be able to finish one of those things in like 4 hours. And so I time myself, and it's like, I gotta cut this corner. I can't draw that background in. I just drop something in there. So you'll be like, hey, like the art looks like crap. And I'm like, it's free, RDV, it's free. Please
There you
don't
go.
charge
Yeah,
money."
it's a good, fun little. It's something too that just keeps my appetite sated as I wait for the next book to come out. 'Cause
Yes, and I'm
they're
glad you
really
said
cool
that.
little stories.
That
Well,
was the intention.
Well, I imagine, yeah, there's a lot of webtoons that are out there I've rated, like they're free to use, you know, and you can also donate to, like, say if you guys have like indie well, not just Indiegogo, if you guys have Ko-Fi links or like or Patreon, or do you guys do that stuff at all?
No.
just
Shoot,
do
if
the
I
books?
did Patreon, so I thought about doing a Patreon, but then I thought, man, I can't think of what I would give people like every month. Like, to me, that's so much labor. Now, don't get me wrong. Some people have
Yeah.
given some pretty good suggestions. They're like, oh, do a custom wallpaper, for example. It doesn't have to be a physical good. It can be something digital. But then I thought, I don't have the time. Like, between the 3 books and like my vocation and my
Yep.
family, it's a lot. I mean, even I'm not going to tell anyone what's going to happen, but there's going to be a little bit of a change happening in the fall.
Really? How about backstage? You can tell us.
Kind of.
No, don't spoil it for me. Don't spoil it for me.
No. I won't spoil it for you, but
Spoil it for me.
We're
forget.
We're creatively rearranging things to account for a change in my schedule. We'll put it that way. And so for the last 2 weeks, we've been having some talks where it's like, okay, are we all on board? Can we do this? And it's like, yes, I think we can pull this one off. So that'll be good. The one thing I can guarantee is you're guaranteed at least 2 books a year. So far, we've been doing 3. I can definitely guarantee 2. But I'm going to try my best to get that 3rd book out. But there might be a little bit of a change to how we do it. We'll put it that way.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, look, still, even just getting 2 books a year is still like amazing, I think, to me.
Like I'm still waiting for the
Just the
rabbit to have his
workload
own.
that y'all do.
I'm still waiting for the rabbit to have his own hops, you know, IPA brand. You
We
know?
can't. I'll tell you. We can't do it because Black Hops is a trademark of
I
the
know.
company. And so that's why we put the USAGI
You
after
put
our
that
title.
at the bottom, yeah.
Yes.
Which is also really clever. I do
Can you
like
not-
that little bit. I actually showed y'all's book to my sister, who loved it. She loved like all the cryptid animal references and everything, but she saw the USAGI at the bottom. She's like,
hey,
that's Japanese for rabbit, isn't it?
You're the same bow tie as Zach.
Yes.
I put you in the book, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
Yeah,
Yes, you did. Yep.
Yeah.
Tiny little bow tie me. Yep.
He doesn't have the red hat
I
on
was-
though.
Yeah.
I don't have the right hat on, but not tonight. But yeah.
I need to sneak you in some more RDV. It's harder because your name is based off a licensed character, so I'm gonna have to draw. And I can't do NRA because that's also a
I
trademark.
know.
I was about to say, if you did the NRA, he'd probably be more recognizable, but it's also
RDV, right?
thing, yeah.
You just do that, you know.
Yeah, I'll put RDV somewhere. We're
That's-
finishing up
that's
post production on our book right now.
You can just
so-
have a brown hat in there. I'll know right away.
That's true.
You don't mind if I put you as a bad guy, do you?
As long as I get a favor in return. No, just kidding.
No quid pro quo. Or
No, yeah.
we don't do that.
Earn it.
That is something that I love about y'all's books is all just like the little background characters and the references. It's almost like a Where's Waldo. You kind
Some
of
of
pay
it
attention to
though is kind of funny. Like some people who we tell, like, hey, just let you know you have an Easter egg back here. That's fine. But one of the adverse reactions we get is you'll have like an angry crowd or something, and they're like, "That's definitely this guy. Like, look, they're calling you out." And I was like, "I just drew like a fat, overweight guy." It's like, "That's him. That's that guy." And I was like, "It's a fat, overweight guy."
It's just a generic guy. What are you trying?
And like, I think one guy was like, "Is that really how you see me?" And it's like, "Tim, is this me?" And it's like, "No, like it's generic, fat, overweight guy."
Was
like,
that Angleton talking to you?
No, no. I thought the most flattering thing was Eglinton was like, "Wait, I have a cameo in the book?" I was like, "Yeah, you're that dude, like in that one scene in the carnival. I thought I tagged you on Twitter." He's like, "Oh, I missed that." He's like, "Is this how you see me, Tim? Like this guy with glasses?" It's like, "That's how I drew you, yeah."
Oh.
It's just so funny. Like even in y'all's like last Common America, like not just necessarily real people, but like there's a scene where they're in Paris and you see like Aladdin and Jasmine in the background. And,
No, they're not. They're not Aladdin and Jasmine.
I mean, not Aladdin and Jasmine, but they're there.
Yeah, they're kind of maybe a passing resemblance.
Passing resemblance to them. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Or you see like just other homages of characters, and it's just like, oh, that's kind of funny. That's cool.
Right. No. And that's the thing though, is like you do put characters in there, like sometimes you can recognize like, oh, okay, this person's that, but you don't know because it's not labeled there. You guys don't say that person is that there. Anybody can make an assumption that any fat guy can be somebody they don't like,
Yeah, and the reality
any
is
fat
that
guy could be you.
Like
the reality is that it's like fat, overweight dude with like a boomer mustache or whatever. It's like, I don't know, in my head that's like default like crowd dude in there who has like a weird attitude or something. It's like if you project someone else onto there, I was like, take your pick. Like I'm sure they're out there. Same thing if I don't know, if I drew like a Chinese guy in the background, it's like, oh, you're picking on like a commie. It's like, no, it's just like a Chinese guy in the background. Like, come on.
Japanese guy in the background, that's Tim.
Oh yeah. It's like, that's Tim.
Self-insert.
No,
who cares?
They all look alike.
I like I said, I'm more for I love the lighthearted comedy story. It's just like I said. I go back to that Comic-Con you're at, and you just explained. All you gotta do is once you get the format down, you put out hardcover books, quality hardcover books. You're getting artists who are not, like it's their hobby. It's not their profession. And you're getting them from Brazil. You're getting them from Korea. You're getting you're getting all these cool artists that people have never heard of. And then this may actually help them actually break out into whatever they want to do if they want to. So it's kind of cool.
And we pay them too.
Yeah. It's not like. And now I gotta ask that though: is there a legal binding contract when you guys do these things? Because I always wonder that when people do like these books together, there's got to be some kind of contract you guys sign.
No,
a verbal, because verbal is it's like when people have falling outs. It's like, well, it's verbal.
Typically, what happens is contractually. So in the United States, as long as there's anything written, that tends to serve as a contract. And so even though there's no formal letter, I tell them exactly what we're going to use them for. Yeah. So example, sometimes when you commission a Japanese artist, they will only let you use it for free promo. If you're the other rights holder, and I am because I'm the one who paid for the commission, then I can obviously use it in terms of posting on Instagram as long as I tag them in it and say, hey, this work was done by this person for pay. But when we do covers or pinups or everything like that, I tell them exactly. I say, give me a rate in which I can use this for either a cover or a pinup. I might choose to use it for a cover or for a pinup. So typically they'll give me their cover price as the guarantee in case they use it. And then I pay them for that, and then we're able to use it for a multitude of things. So that's typically how that works. But what I do is in the evenings, I'll typically take about 30 minutes to 40 minutes before I go to bed, and I scroll through Instagram and Twitter, and I'm looking for talent. I'm just going down the rabbit hole of seeing people's art I like, and then I look for those magical words, commissions open, DM me, and then I'll contact them. And that's actually how I found like Jeff Spokes, because I thought, I found out, I think it's because of Aphrodite 9. I think another person was showing the artwork, and I said, wow, Adam Hughes is back to doing work again. And I clicked on it, and I was like, it's not Adam Hughes, it's someone else. And I looked, and I thought, this guy should have more followers on Instagram. Like, what the heck? So I hit him up and said, hey, just out of curiosity, are you open for commissions? And he gave me a really good rate for commissions and for owning the originals, and I said I'll pay for the whole thing plus a tip on top of that if you're open for that. And so I got him connected with Doug Ernst, and that's just typically how that goes. There's a lot of talent potential out there that neither of the big two are snatching up, and I want to give them that showcase. But it's not it's not like, hey kid, you follow me and I'll give you the exposure. It's like, no, we have a budget for that type of stuff. We can pay for it.
Right.
So
Yeah, you pay for them. It's not like an internship where it's like experience is your paycheck. Like, no, you actually pay them as well.
And
That's awesome.
You mentioned Adam Hughes. I got to bring it up. It's weird to see that DC's hiring him still to do draw stuff. It's just because remember the whole thing was, we can't. You got to divert the male gaze, so we get rid of all the drawing.
Yeah.
So that he's coming back.
This is Jeff Spokes right here, and
That's
I could see, because it does look like Adam Hughes, but
yeah.
I actually kind of prefer his work a little bit more. Actually,
So for those who don't know, when you actually buy a book from them, it comes in these sweet little boxes like these, thick.
Yeah.
Look at that. Yeah,
You drew all this, right?
No, that one is Alejandro Mirabal. I did the first box, the one that came out back in 2019, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's Alejandro. He's the guy who does Long Harbor.
You open the box. It's got the nice bubble wrap in there, so everything comes nice and secure in there. And then, like I said, this is the book, Volume 5, Omnibus. Plus, I got it on alternate book 2 as well.
Nice.
And it comes with the little postcards here.
This little postcard has a coupon code on the back normally.
Yeah.
Coupon code Black Ops, receive $5 at checkout.
Yep. It's really kind of cool. Now, you just showed off. What did you just show off? Which one did you?
This is the Omnibus Volume 1.
Oh, that's one I got right here.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And it has the back cover.
Yeah.
Goes over to the back. You got Black Ops.
Well, I got an alternate book, too. This is the volume. This is Volume 5, I believe, right?
It's Volume
4.
5.
Sorry,
Volume 4. Yeah.
Yeah, 4.
4. Yeah.
Yep.
So
the whole Common Core on there.
And you get take your knuckles and tap on it. Show people it's hardcover. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is
the quality that you get is incredible.
And as I said, you even got you turn into it. It's like, look at that. The interior is actually colored and drawn on.
That guy that was the miracle find of my year. That was 2019. That artist is a Japanese artist named Kafun, and at the time he was charging me a killer rate, and I thought, this is the gem. This guy is so good, and I hired him, and I told him flat out what we were going to use it for. And what happened was I started tipping him, so now his rates are pretty high, but. I don't mind paying for him because, like I said, his quality is unmatched.
Yeah.
And like you said, the paper is it's quality paper.
Yep. We normally use 80-pound gloss, which is one of the heaviest paperweights in the industry. So you're actually getting a hefty size.
I gotta admit, I'm not usually a chibi person, but when the expressions, when you see the main girl in here, when she gets angry and stuff, she's shocked.
Yeah.
The facial reactions you do with this is like I said, it's because you're basing this off an anime kind of manga style, right? That's
mostly a manga aesthetic.
Yeah. And it's just funny, the whole thing, and all the characters react. They all have different personalities, even including Vicky. You find out.
Yeah, she. I don't want to spoil it for anyone.
I know.
She goes through a mood swing.
That was the mood swing that caught me by surprise. Dude, that's one of the great things is it's a very lighthearted book, but you have these character arcs that these different characters go on, and that would actually realize oh my gosh, I was a page turner when that came around.
Right here, you'll see, and you see the reaction to him, the little beady eyes, and then you said, here's the little thing is you see her little reaction from Common Victory. He's like, I didn't transform.
Yeah.
everyone's like, you got the what's her name? Common Ramen. I thought was a really awesome addition to this because she's the foreign exchange student. It's just so happy to be here and stuff. And it's like, oh, I'm working with my idol, and just not that bright. It's her background story, if you might have spoiled a little bit, is just her dad is owns this noodle company, this ramen thing. So he had her when she got struck by the meteorite. here, use your powers so I can sell noodles.
Yeah.
It's
And
like,
we've
what-
encountered that. We've encountered people like that in real life. I'll give you a prime example. So, Doug Ernst's artist on Soulfinder is Matthew Weldon, and
Mhm.
he is one of the most humble people in the world. He never
Yeah.
brags about himself. He never talks about his
Yeah.
artistic ability. There is no boastfulness in this person, and yet I would rank him as probably one of the. If you're just looking at talent, just raw talent, skill,
Mhm.
easily top 10 in the country. Why? He's a
Yeah.
human printer. He does not have to pencil anything.
It's
he can
insane. Yeah.
Yes, he can take a G2 Pilot ballpoint pen, which he uses. He has no fancy brushes or anything. He just takes a Pilot G2, and you tell him to draw a character, and he can draw it straight from memory.
Yep.
That is beyond a skill. That is a talent. Like, that's something that he can do. But at conventions, he doesn't do commissions. And I'm like, you could be charging $100, and you could be making, like, bank every
Mhm.
hour. Why don't you do that? And he's like, because I don't want to. I want to sell dollar postcards.
Yeah, I mean, you're right though. Yeah, it's just the stuff because I remember I used to watch him draw, and it's just like he doesn't do pencil. Yeah, like you said, he doesn't do pencil work. He just uses a regular ballpoint pen, and
Yeah.
it's incredible.
Yep. And I reviewed some of the pages for Soulfinder, and one of them, he spent I don't know how much ink drawing every blade of grass in the field.
Oh no!
And I was like, why do you do that? And he said, oh, sorry, I went kind of crazy there. I was like, just went
Now,
kind of crazy. That's incredible.
correct me
And
if I'm wrong. Didn't Kirby used to do that too? Every little detail in the Fantastic Four stuff, his early stuff. I thought he would just really. He did his space stuff. He did the Photoshop, photo
Yeah.
stuff, but he'd always make sure he did attention to detail in the background.
There are some artists, especially as you see the art evolve. I mean, back in the day, when you wanted to make these comics, the point of it was, as a visual medium, just go from panel to panel in a way where it's just engaging. Perspective was typically okay, but you can kind of tell where they fudge it a little bit, but no one really cared. As you went on towards like the late 70s and early 80s, that's when you actually got a little bit more realism and a lot more detailed in the rendering and stuff like that in there. Matt could easily forego a lot of that stuff, but he just chooses. What happens is he likes it too much, and he just gets in the zone, and then there
Drawing
it
the
is.
stars in the night sky, just every little star. It's like paint. It takes you like 40 minutes just to draw like half the page.
Do you know how
Yeah.
you do that though? So there's a trick. You paint the whole page black, or you paint the part that you're doing. You take masking tape and you mask off that part, and then you stand about 10 feet back, and you take a toothbrush and you dip it in white paint and you flick it. That's how they would do it back in the day.
Oh, that's cool.
nice.
Yeah.
I think it's saying like the stencils draw.
No.
The paint.
Yeah. No.
That's a great Glenn drawing though.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
So this is kind of cool too. For those who are like another incentive when you're buying this stuff, you get a little trading card.
I love the trading
yeah.
cards.
Oh
yeah.
wow, you have the Comet one. That one's kind of rare.
Oh, is it really?
I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah. So,
I have
but-
mine here somewhere.
but not only that, the back. Look at that.
yeah, you get like the stats
you got
and
the stats.
If it focuses in, if I won't focus, it's too small.
Hey, I'll give you a tidbit about the stats. So
Yeah.
the one that we got questions on is intelligence, because they're like, what is that? What does that
Yeah.
mean? We actually go through an IQ system. So 3 is basically like your average intelligence. 5 is like you're a genius. 1 is you're just of low intelligence. But we've had some people say like, oh, does 1 mean like you're average, and then 5 is like you're the genius, or how does that work? So
I don't know,
Yeah.
but yeah. So, like I said, like it's just cool that you actually have the stats on the back too, because you always see like in the trading cards in the back in the day, Marvel, DC. Oh, it's just their power strength. Comic Vine does it too on their websites for their characters. Like I always wondered, like who comes up with these stats? Is this like based? Is this like random?
have you heard Mark Pellegrini can talk about it, but he told me the story and I looked it up and it was crazy. So I think it was actually when CBR actually used to do honest journalism in their reporting, but
Yeah.
they
that was a while back.
they had I think it was CBR. They had a segment where it was like urban legends in comics, and one of them was, is it true that the stats on all the Marvel trading cards are completely made up? And it turned out it was true, that whenever it would be like Spider-Man like wins 35, losses 2, completely made up. It's not like they combed through every Spider-Man book to that point and looked up how many there were. They just came up with a number.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I mean, that doesn't surprise me. I know with like one of the things we talk about when we talk about Marvel and DC editors is none of them check the backlog and the history of some of these characters, so they just kind of make things up as they go.
Yeah, that'd be too much work. I said when you're, especially when current Marvel DC writers, not all of them, but majority of them.
Yeah.
I was wondering if Eric Breen ever thought about writing a book, like just writing a book. It doesn't have to be a comic, just a tome. Because I like listening to him talk, because I was like, good God, this guy's like a walking encyclopedia of comics. Yeah. It's like, there's no wonder he's on the auctions, because it's like, all right, Breen, tell us.
Are you saying
Breen, tell us about this book, Amazing Spider-Man 35. What can you tell us about it? Well,
yep.
That's the issue.
Like I said, I'm just happy to get Breen on the channel at all.
Yeah, he really is.
Apart from his knowledge, he's got a fun personality. He's honest with you. He can shoot the shit with you. It's
I
like
like him. I like him a lot.
Like I said, it's I'm still trying to write down the security code so when he passed away, I can get his books. But he won't do it.
So I don't want him to pass away. I want Eric Breen to stick around for a long time. I love listening to him.
It makes it harder for me to get into the house then if he's still alive.
I want Eric Breen to have his own show and just talk. So Eric Breen reminds me of Chuck. So Chuck Dixon has a show that he does every week, and it's great. It's just called Chuck Dixon. It's called Ask Chuck Dixon.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And all he does is just answer mail, and he just
awesome.
He just has the best stories to tell because he just knows a lot about the industry. And I was like, Eric Breen just sounds like, I don't know, just like the cool uncle.
Like I said, I like having a conversation when we watch like Joe Crawl or Holler Mouse, even having Wes on there, and this Breen, you just watch those. And Paulo Costo is also cool too. For he gets all the foreign, comic books, talks information about that from where he's from, and like I said, it's just cool to see like these guys interact with each other and stuff, and just like I'm just sitting there like, Superman can fly.
Right? Yeah, he's like, I know, I know this much.
I know, it's like
like Breen and all those other guys, like they've probably forgotten more about comics than all I will ever know in my lifetime.
I think if I'm not mistaken, I think Eric Breen only has 3 weaknesses, and this is how closely I pay attention. I think there's only 3 comic book franchises that he has very little to no knowledge on, and it's the ones that Mark and I have the most knowledge on. It's Transformers, G.I. Joe, Ninja Turtles. And I'm shocked because I'm like, Eric, I think if you read them, I think you would love them because they're great and they're short-run comics. Like, they're very easy to get into as far as, like, they've been anthologized and collected in a way that's actually easy to breeze through. G.I. Joe was actually the first... No, I'm sorry. It was Ninja Turtles and G.I. Joe. Those were the first 2 series that I picked up regularly.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
You heard it first here. Those are his weaknesses.
I think they are. He can correct me if he's still in the
only
in the
on comic books, nothing else. I've tried.
Well, there's also any comic printed after 2014. He doesn't really know.
I love that part where, like, during the auction, it's like, what can you tell us about this Breen? He's like, I don't read that comic because it came out after this time.
Right. Marvel Comics stopped publishing after 2014.
As he said numerous times on the channel, even when Jimmy feels remember Jimmy Quirks is, Comic Quirks.
Yeah.
We used to be educating Jimmy on there, and he said the comic books should have stopped because we basically talked about Siege. With the storyline. That was the last Marvel event.
2017, 2018?
No.
That was back in 2013,
Straczynski,
maybe?
Thor.
Oh, shoot, man.
Yeah, that was a ways back. Yeah.
2012, I think it was.
Maybe. It might have been closer.
They run there. And he said, like, this is a perfect ending for Marvel Universe. And it was. There's no reason to continue.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, they decided to, and that's the one that I never cared. I stopped collecting Marvel stuff because I was in there for Spider-Man. I was in there for one character. And I was starting to branch out. Like, I'll read Thor and stuff. He was great. And then Marvel decided we're just going to do cash grab events.
This is an unpopular opinion, but I stopped reading after the end of the Clone Saga.
Really?
Yeah, because
you read through the entire Clone Saga, right?
I like the Clone Saga because before you crucify me, before you crucify me. When I was a kid, I grew up reading the 90s Spider-Man with David Pellegrini. David Pellegrini and Eric Larson. So my introduction to Spider-Man was Revenge of the Sinister Six, and I thought it was really, really cool. And after the Pellegrini Larson run, I quit. But my entrance point back into it was the very start of the Clone Saga, because I thought, oh wow, like there's this new character who's a clone of Peter Parker. It's a good entranceway back into it. And it was because of that, and because in the Clone Saga they would reference older comics where it would be like, see, his first appearance with the Jackal in Amazing Spider-Man something. I was like, oh, I gotta go find that. So I would go find that issue with the Jackal. And then from there it's like, oh, Jackal first appeared in his introduction to the Punisher. And I was like, Punisher? Who's this? So for all the flack that people give it, there were people like me who were able to use it as a springboard into it. But I like Ben Reilly because he was his own character. He was not just a clone, per se, of Peter Parker in just the biological sense.
No, he had his own personality.
He definitely had his own personality. He was actually... The irony is that if Marvel hated so much the idea of a married Peter Parker because they were out of stories, it's like...
You have Ben.
You have Ben. Let him be that person. And I just thought, at the end of the Clone Saga, when they kill him off and he turns into like a dust cloud, I was like...
It's like a sand.
Yeah, like, I was like, that's it. I mean, I don't know where to go from here. Like, I really have no reason to...
And like I said, I've been... if you check out the channel here, time and top 5, I just tonight, I was talking about... I'm picking up the Ben Reilly Spider-Man books.
Uh-huh.
Those are written by Jay DeMatteis.
Yeah.
You know, and it's the same guy writing it, and it's what Marvel's been doing this. Which really is kind of funny because they're like shooting themselves in the foot. You know, especially when they want to put this new stuff out for, and they've been bringing back these old writers. Walt Simonson's back. He's doing the new Fantastic Four with Wolverine, Ghost Rider, and Joe Fix-a-Hulk. You know. And then you had Peter David come back. He's been writing Maestro. He also was writing Symbiote Spider-Man, you know. And all these stories take place during the time they were being written back in the 90s and 80s, you know. They're basically not retconning anything. They're just, hey, this happened, you know, around this time, you know, or any time you just pick. We were going to choose to. It's in continuity, but it's not like ruining anything for you. Those are just when I read, like Dave Mitchell came back and started writing some stuff too, and it's insane. Like I go read these, I was like, if these are not outselling everything else right now, I'm just surprised because these books and these writers can still write great books. So when people say Marvel and comic books and the DC comic books are dead, there are still stories in there. It's not like it was. Like, you know, I think Marvel and DC have gone through couple different rough patches. Yes, it's gotten more woke, it's gotten more political, more propaganda stuff, you know, virtue signaling, but there's still writers in there, there's still stories in there that are still worth being read about.
Yeah. And I will tell you one thing. So I don't
go ahead.
I don't because I don't pick up many of the big two anymore. I will at most pick up maybe 2 trade paperbacks a year. That's if you're lucky. Last year I didn't pick up a single one. I just quit cold turkey. But Mark, because he knows I like Ben Reilly, he actually got me the first 3 volumes of the Peter David run where Ben Reilly came back. And I was thinking to myself, like, okay, I know it's Peter David and he was a good writer back in the day, but does he still have it? And he introduced this concept to Ben Reilly that I just thought, that is fascinating. Like they still have it. So
yeah,
they introduced this thing that I hated. They were like, oh, but is it Ben Reilly? Because what they did was after the Clone Saga, they got a little dust fragment and they kept on cloning him, killing him, cloning him, killing him, cloning him, killing him. And I'm like, Dan Slott, do you not know the theology of how the body and soul works? If you clone someone and kill him, it's not the same person. Right. The soul of Ben Reilly has gone into the afterlife. Like, all you're doing is just creating multiple souls. You're not recreating the same person. So whoever's going by quote-unquote Ben Reilly right now, it's actually not Ben Reilly. I don't buy it. Well, Peter David addressed that. Yeah. And I think it's in volume 2. Death takes an interest in Ben Reilly. And he's like, what the hell? You're Death. Why are you interested in me? And she's like, you're an interesting one. Every time you've been cloned and come back, your soul has crossed the abyss. Every time. It's not new souls being put into clone bodies. It's you. That's why you're crazy, because you've had to go through the trauma of the abyss. And she's like, of every person in the Marvel universe, you are the one who has come back the most. That's why you're insane. And I was like, that is great because it explains why he suddenly decided to become the Jackal, why he's kind of a nutbag. And I thought, wow, like these people kind of still have it. They can still write these stories and still make them interesting.
Yeah, that was kind of weird having him be the new Jackal and all that stuff. And then they used that because it's just they had to disappear Spider-Man. They decided they wanted to bring in, connect it. They want to bring Otto back to his normal self. So Otto, who is inside this little robot thing, implanted himself. A clone is combined of Spider-Man, and his DNA. So it's like the perfect person. It's like, really? That's just weird. You're still using Peter's DNA, you freak. It's like, even though it looks like Otto again, but like you said, and then of course Marvel decided, you know what, we're gonna kill off Electro and reincarnate his his dead wife that he abused and have her be the new Electro.
Oh yeah, the little person, right, Maria,
I think her name was
Maria.
And so of course from then on they decided they got the daughter of the Tombstone become the new Beetle.
Yeah,
and they created the new female Sinister Citizen.
Hey, Eric Breen says, "Give me a link."
I know. I sent him a link.
Okay.
Hopefully his Twitter is working because sometimes it's weird because he has problems with Twitter where I'll send him a StreamYard link and it doesn't pop up.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Now
I'm nervous. I'm gonna be with the.
He's gonna call you on now. He's gonna call you.
So Tehillim has a question. I was actually kind of wondering this too because I know we were backstage, or maybe at the beginning of the stream you were talking about like you read a lot of manga. Like, what manga do you read normally that you pick up?
It's pretty eclectic. So right now I'm reading Spy Family, which I think between both American and Western comics, I consider the best comic right now on the market. Like, it has something.
It's a good one, yeah.
Yes, it has something for everyone. So it has a little bit of spy element, a little bit of slice of life, a little bit of action and comedy in there. So it's a very robust work, something that you're going to find something in there that you like. The other one that I was reading is I'm reading One Punch Man.
Nice, that's a good one.
Kaiju number 9 or Kaiju 8.
Number 8, yeah, number 8, yeah. That's one I like a lot too.
Yeah, Kaiju 8. So those are the big ones. I'm just saying that for the people who are in the comics crowd because I think that those are the ones that are most appealing. But I really like Slice of Life, so there's some of that I'm reading as well because I like that stuff. It's chill.
Tim, I think I'm gonna have you on more often. We're actually breaking double digits now for the first time.
Oh, nice! I'm glad to hear it. Well, it's probably because Eric Breen is here.
Probably. I mean, this is the man of YouTube. He just pops up all over the place, and people know his name.
This is like the second time we've gotten to like double digits.
He's the sage. He's the sage of the comics.
I'll just have Zach use your icon.
Yeah.
Right. I'll just have my icon on from now on.
Have his phone behind off screen. Of his phone, will just play clips of you talking.
Yeah.
From other streams.
And even what's left of my computer respects Tim enough not to screw up on me, and I got it on the first try.
I want you to say something for me, if you don't mind, Mr.
Record it. We'll be quiet.
I want you to say, Autobots Roll Out.
Any particular dialect?
No, I want you to just say it like you talk normally.
Autobots Roll Out.
You sound just like Peter Cullen.
Yeah, I know.
That's so crazy.
He kind of does, yeah. Like,
no, he does, for sure.
Yeah.
Now do the Predator noise. That's what Peter Cullen
yeah, do the Predators.
Pick me.
Okay.
Who in the blue hell is Peter Cullen?
He is the voice of Optimus Prime and Eeyore.
Oh, that's right. He did voice Eeyore.
He was the voice of Eeyore. He was the voice. He was the voice of King Kong in the 1970s Kong. He did the Predator thrill noise, like the cicada noise. You know,
I had no idea he did that. Oh, that's cool.
That was him too.
Well, that makes sense why Eric's always tired all the time.
So thanks for letting me on, Tim. I don't think we've ever been on the same stream, so I don't know if we've ever spoken. But
we have one time. It was very quick on Eglantine's channel.
He saw you and ran.
Well,
he saw me and ran,
or hopped away. Keep it in.
Keep it in theme. Yeah.
The scary thing was that Eglantine didn't notice he was gone because he kept talking to the guy next to him. Sorry, that never gets old.
It doesn't. I'm
But
like,
yeah, I said, I would, thank you for all the nice things you said. And man, did you nail when you said the three I know nothing about those. When I'm working up runs of those at the store, I basically have to cheat all the way through it because I know nothing.
Well, I wanted to ask you because I'm pretty sure you had mentioned this before, but as a comic reader, did you enjoy the Nom?
I didn't read it. I was such a superhero head when it came to the big two. It was only later that I went back and read the westerns and I was kind of into the horror titles because I was a monster movie fan before I got into comics. But in the 80s, I got really heavy into like First and Eclipse.
Yeah.
And there was, and like I said, I said I'm 60, so I was already in my 20s when those things started coming out. And I was already into so many other books that I'm sure that I always, one of my favorite kick me stories is when my friend that owns the comic book store right now begged me to buy Walking Dead #1. And I said, why do I want a black and white zombie book? Oh, the guy's from Kentucky, and I'm from Kentucky. Yeah. So I'm sure I bought, worst comic ever, which was right next to Walking Dead on the shelf that day. But I'm pretty sure that he probably tried to talk me into buying the first issue of Turtles too.
Do you know the funny thing about The Walking Dead? When I saw the first issue too, I passed up. I was like, this art's horrible. Flipping through it on the shelf. I was like, now I'm in the same boat as you. It's like, why didn't I pick it up? It always happens to me too. So
I have an inverse story to that, and I'm gonna piggyback off of something that Eric just said.
You're gonna hop off of that?
I will hop off it.
Copyright infringement here. There's a frog over here too who does that.
When I sure got frogs and rabbits, yeah.
When I was collecting Spider-Man and some other titles, someone had put it in my pull box, but it was Ultimate Spider-Man #1, and I came home and I read it, and I was like, "What garbage is this? Like, I don't want to read this." So I stopped collecting it right at issue 1, and then someone told me 10 years later, they're like, "Hey, we're looking at this price list of modern comics that are worth a lot of money," and it was like Ultimate Spider-Man #1. I was like, that piece of garbage? Are you serious? And they're like, yeah. And they're like, are you gonna give it away? I was like, no, I'm just gonna hold on to it and let it like accumulate until I can like make bank off of it. But going back to something Eric said, so the reason I always wanted to ask you if you read the Nom is because I thought, okay, maybe we can convince Eric to read G.I. Joe if he's read the Nom, because they have a lot of things that are similar. But based on what you told me, it sounds like it's a genre type thing. With the westerns, though, I was going to ask if you like Jonah Hex, the run that happened a few years ago with Jimmy Palmiotti.
I didn't read that, but only because I kind of got out of new comics in the last decade. I have read a lot of the run in Weird Western Tales, and then actually when it started in All-Star Western, I used to have his first appearance, and I had a good chunk of the 90 issue run that started in 77, and I really liked the character, and I used to have tons of war comics, but I never read them because I had 55,000 books at one time, and when you're accumulating that much, you just don't have time to read them, because I was also reading 100+ new titles a month, and so, but I've now gone back and read a bunch of the war books, so I may eventually get to that, but G.I. Joe, I could never get past that stigma of I'm reading something that I played with as a child. I mean, even I'm not old enough to predate the G.I. Joe doll. I mean, action figure.
I will try to tell you something, and hopefully, if you get the time, I would dip my toe into it, and hopefully, this is convincing. So. When I read the comic starting with G.I. Joe issue 1 with Larry Hama, I couldn't watch the cartoon anymore because I couldn't take the cartoon seriously. I was like, this is lame compared to the comic. The comic is great. Like by issue 3, you had people dying in it. Like
Right,
this is
yeah.
so cool.
Then you go watch the cartoon and they're just shooting like laser guns. And...
They're shooting laser guns and stuff, but in the
Yeah.
comic, Larry Hama, because he fought in Vietnam, he wanted it to be very accurate. And luckily, we were living in a time in the 80s where there wasn't that type of strict censorship in terms of the depictions of weapons and things of that nature. But the one thing I liked about G.I. Joe was it combined the military stuff with a very slight degree of the superhero element, because you had characters who were able to do some things that were like borderline on the supernatural. But to this date, I think that original run of G.I. Joe, up until the end of Larry Hama's tenure on it, that to me is considered like, that's just pure storytelling. I mean, you want something that is bookended by the same writer pretty much throughout its whole run. That's it right there. My advice, though, do not go beyond that. That's no offense to Chuck Dixon, but I mean, that is a seminal run right there. And the good thing is, like, if you are not satisfied by the time they get to like the introduction of the identities of Snake Eyes and Cobra Commander, then yeah, I would say then it's probably not for you. But if you're looking for something that's old, that you're like, wow, like I really found a treasure trove that's below me this whole time, I would say pick up some of those reprints. They have them through IDW, and they're fantastic. They're still like my favorite reads to this day.
Nice.
I'll look into that. I've got I'm about 3,000 or so books away from being caught up. Yeah, I did a really lousy job of quitting when I sold the first time. Said, I'm not getting back. I'm not going to do this again. I did this again. It was a lot easier. Tim, I haven't, I used to not be able to go half an hour into the day without hitting the bottle. I haven't had a drink in 30 plus years.
Oh, congratulations.
That was easy compared to quitting comics.
Well, it's obviously paid off, because every time I hear you on streams, and I'm typically on streams and I just don't comment in the chat, I'm like, I could listen to this guy talk all day, because he makes it sound so cool, but not in a quote unquote like fanboy type of way. You have a way of presenting it in a way that's very clinical and very academic compared to some other people I hear when they speak about it. And I like that, because like I said, it's comparable to Chuck Dixon. You can tell it's a person who has just kind of lived and breathed it to the point where it's like almost like an academic study into it itself. And so I think that's really neat. I like on Wes's channel, I'd listen to like your story times together where you just dissect like these comics involving like the High Evolutionary and stuff, and I'm like, man, he actually makes it sound good.
Yeah, those retrospectives are a lot of fun. I let Joe pick them all now. He's like 37 years old, and I'm pretty sure he knows as much, if not more, than I do. It shouldn't be possible, but because Paulo's the same. Paulo just flat out knows more than I do. I'm hoping it's an eidetic memory thing with those two, but it's just and I just because I'm always fascinated when somebody from like Joe picks stories that are 20 years older than him, and he's very well versed in them.
I guess he just picks the classics and just takes them apart with that degree of scrutiny. Which is good, because in all honesty, you can be a comic collector, but there's a lot of things that are very forgettable in there. But when you hone in on the ones where they can be like unfound gems that you can actually polish off and say, wow, this is actually worthy of something, just because it doesn't have a movie attached to it doesn't mean that as a storytelling thing it is pretty good.
I think I've asked you this question before. It said, if you were given a character to write from anything, like who's your favorite character from Marvel, DC? Do you have a favorite character at all?
My favorite character from Marvel, DC, as a purist, is Spider-Man, but I think that's playing on easy mode. So, believe it or not, it's the Punisher.
So
okay.
So if you were allowed to write that the way you want to write it, without anything else going on, what would you read your story if you did it though? Do you have an idea already in your head?
Let me try to think. If I could write a Punisher story, what would I do? Not particularly. I think the reason why I like the Punisher is why I like Dick Tracy growing up, because I I got this tidbit from Chuck Dixon. He was like, I love Dick Tracy. He said Chester Gould was like the epitome of a patriotic American, and his big thing was Dick Tracy always gave it to the bad guys. And so when you think about it, Punisher, he's a fairly simplistic character to write, but Chuck Dixon said that Punisher is essentially the male fantasy distilled into one character. And so as long as you knew that, he was actually fairly facile to write. So I have not given that much thought in terms of like where I would go with that.
You always joke that Mark's the idea guy.
He is the idea guy.
So it's like, I'm always curious, what are your ideas? Because you always praise Mark as being the
I have
the writer.
no ideas.
You have none.
So I have a funny story to tell about that. This is how bad it is. So I remember, especially when I was a teenager and I'd be in high school, sometimes people would be like, "Draw something to him, draw something," and I would just sit there and I'd be like, "What?" And they're like, "Just whatever you decide in your head." And I would say, "I literally can't do it until you tell me what to do." Like, that's just how I work. It's completely.
That's how Zach is. I have to boss him around.
Yeah.
To me, it's a mechanical process. It's a skill. It's just you tell me, and I will either learn how to do it, or if I know how to do it, I will draw it right there. So he's the idea guy. When we were working in merchandising, I would just call him and I'll say, "Hey, the licensor, like Lucasfilm, they want something." And Mark's like, "What do they want?" And I said, "I don't know, but supposedly their theme is vintage art." And so he would be like, do the Sistine Chapel, except it's Obi-Wan Kenobi with Luke Skywalker reaching out." I'd be like, "All right," and I would just hang up the phone and just start working on it. And that's me. That's just how I work.
So Marania is saying that USAGI is the Punisher, but it's a rabbit. Now it makes sense.
USAGI is more like Snake Eyes because he doesn't.
I was gonna say, yeah.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. He
Yeah.
doesn't talk. Yeah.
Except a few minutes ago. when
Does he get
spoke.
Right.
Does he
His
have the
first
eye
appearance.
patch and the cigar in his mouth?
Nah, like Nick Fury. No.
Oh, Snake Plissken.
Oh, Snake Plissken. Yeah.
Oh, that's Snake.
Kurt Russell.
Yeah.
It's funny you're talking about comparing the Punisher, liking the Punisher and Dick Tracy.
Uh-huh.
You know what they have in common?
What do they have in common?
When they would kill their bad guys, and the bad guys would stay dead.
Yes.
In fact, when
some exceptions though, but yes.
Yeah, well, with the Punisher, the only one. I mean, he didn't end up killing Jigsaw, but
No.
the only one that came back after seemingly being killed in the Punisher was Barracuda.
Yes.
Yep.
And I can't think of if there were any Dick Tracy bad guys that came back, but he's one of the few people that would. Yeah, that was one of the few strips you stayed dead. They were all like Uncle Ben.
There was kind of one in Dick Tracy. It was the sister of Flat Top. And it was weird because it was essentially Flat Top with boobs who came back to fight Dick Tracy. And the second one in the Punisher, besides Barracuda, was the Russian.
I was gonna say the Russian. You're bringing up right away.
Yeah, but you're right. So Eric. So Eric, do you go by Eric or Mr. Breen? I don't want to be rude.
Oh, wow, you're much more polite than we are.
Yeah, most people don't see the first name, so anything's fine.
Well, so I'll say Breen, but they
Or Eric Brewer, if you want to call him that too.
What was I going to say? It was something regarding the Punisher. Yeah. So your cutoff for comics was actually not that far back because Barracuda was relatively recent. I think his last appearance before he was killed off was in 2007, maybe.
They love when I do this.
Oh, yeah, right there.
Holds it right out. It's like it's like in the Animaniacs or those old Looney Tunes.
No,
They just reach behind their back.
It's the magic trick. It's a magic trick where he was forcing the book.
Well, no, I'll just say real quickly.
Maybe, yeah.
A lot of Breen's knowledge comes from being staged ahead of time, so he knows.
Yeah, he knows. He was.
That's
already
why it's the books all the time.
That is not true. We do a stream on Wednesday nights. It's called the 4-Color Fossils, where a bunch of guys in my age group show off old books. And I started, I would take, when people would show off theirs, I would always go last, and I would always seem to have something somebody already showed within within reach.
Uh-huh.
And so now they call it getting breened.
I'm going to tell you this thing that so people listening to chat, do not give it away. Magician doesn't spoil their secrets. So what you should do is ahead of time on another channel, you agree ahead of time on like 4 random titles, and you stage it. So it's like, you want to see a neat magic trick, and it's like, hey, name 4 comics. It's like Casper issue 21, Weird Westerns issue 12, Amazing Spider-Man issue 76, and you turn on your camera. It's like these titles right here.
You get 3 people in the you have to have 3 people in the chat.
Yeah,
and he pulls out those books.
Yeah, he pulls up those books at seemingly random.
Awesome.
How did you do that?
Hello to Dalton, who's saying, please be rude to Eric. He deserves it.
Eric does not deserve it. He is so polite. Every time I see him on streams, I'm like, this guy, like, man, I envy you. How you can navigate from stream to stream with no enemies, no flack. It's just Eric Breen.
We can say that Eric is he knew Dalton was going to show up. That's why he's wearing this blue shirt to show his support for Peter Hooton as Dr. Strange. You know.
Well, I just thought Dalton might have run out of games to watch.
Sports ball.
No, I've found that Tim not getting involved in things that have nothing to do with me tends to work. You tend to accumulate far less enemies that way.
Yeah, absolutely. But I've noticed that you're able to do it, and you still have an opinion, because I enjoy some of the commentary you give during the auctions, and I'm like, he gets away with that because I think there's a suaveness to how you deliver your lines. There's not some psycho out there being like, I'm gonna get that Eric guy, I'm gonna cut that part out.
It's because if we kick him off the channel, no one's gonna watch the auction.
Well, if we kick him off our channel, there's like 12 other ones he can go to. People recognize his name, they'll welcome him in.
No, so Tim, you said offline that you actually watch the channel sometimes. Do you watch the readings at all?
I do. They're kind of funny because everyone takes turns like reading lines and
I
stuff.
like these nights; they're kind of funny.
Yeah, but I'll tell you why. It's because it's honestly cognitive dissonance why sometimes I don't finish them. Because if I'm hearing Eric Breen like talk like a woman, for example, I get thrown off because it's like all right, and then here comes like Aunt May, and it's Eric Breen. It's like, hey Peter,
I'm a delicate flower.
Yeah, I'm a delicate flower. And it's just like, oh man, like it's pretty funny, but at the end of it, I'm like, what did I learn from that? I actually don't know what actually happened in this book.
Well, you learned that I'm an idiot.
I think the best readings that we have on the channel are the Teen Titans ones, you know. And you have
the older ones, yeah,
the older ones, yeah. I think it's issue 21 we read, and Breen took over the role of Speedy.
Was it Speedy or was it Aqualad?
No, well, he did Aqualad as well too, but Speedy. Yeah. He's got the smoker voice, but when he's talking he's just like this, talking like this in his inner thoughts. It's like there's no smoker voice gone. It's like it just kills me because he does it sometimes.
Well, I do that for Ben Grimm's inner monologue too.
That too.
Yeah.
You make a good Ben Grimm because of the voice.
He does, doesn't he? That is the Hulk. He does. I love the thing he does.
The
with
Hulk
Hulk,
Hogan.
He does Hulk Hogan.
What you should do is, I think you would get a lot of viewers. Is take like if you can find it, get Transformers issue 1 and have Eric Breen voice Optimus Prime in the reading.
Oh my god!
And then if you do that, I'll clip it and I'll post it on Twitter and be like, you guys need to check this out. This is pretty incredible.
If you have a specific issue that you want us to read,
does he have a distinctive sound?
No, he sounds like you.
Oh.
You literally sound like him. Like talking.
Autobots roll out.
There's no robot. There's no robotic mannerism to it or anything.
Go watch a clip after this, and you're like, that doesn't sound anything like me.
Yeah, if you just watch random old school 1980s Transformers like Optimus Prime sound clips, you sound just like him. Like no need for voice inflection or anything.
Yeah, Tim. I understand you're busy. You're doing your books. So if you ever want to do one reading, at least one at all.
Oh my lord! I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what. I'll do it if it's a book with an Asian guy, so that you guys can get away with doing like a stereotype.
We could even read Count America on there.
You could read like Shang-Chi, Master of Kung Fu.
But Tim, if we did that, there's no way in hell we'd give you one of the Asian parts.
No, give me the Asian part. We
bucked the stereotype.
There's a reason why Frugal was Black Lightning. Well, we had Skip and Tosh on one night.
He's African American, isn't he?
Yes, we gave him all the white parts.
Give it Tosh Red Magneto.
We buck all the stereotypes.
We subvert expectations.
Subvert expectations.
Yep.
What'd be funny is if
there was a Star Wars one that I read with Puppeteer where I voiced Princess Leia. I was like, never doing that again.
You do. It's like a Shang-Chi and Power Man team up, and you get Skip and Tosh and me on it, and I'm voicing Power Man, and he's voicing Shang-Chi.
I don't think Zach could make it.
Could make it
every time. I could go one stream. No, they have this thing because I collect Power Man and Iron Fist books, but not just Power Man. So apparently, I don't like Power Man.
It was at the auction. Come up. He's like, I don't want it. I want. He's like, I only collect the ones Iron Fist. So I was like, what?
Apparently, Power Man's not good enough for me by himself.
So he's been the butt of those kind of jokes like ever since then, and he's a good sport about it.
I can't read Black Panther apparently or Black Widow. Any of the superheroes. Because
far be it from us to run a joke into the ground.
Right. Yeah, we've never done that.
Never do that.
I mean, your mother is a beautiful woman. I said that one time on the stream, and now it's every time on the stream now.
Well, we've been doing this long enough to have tropes.
I brought up a thing because I watched Nolan North on Retro Replay, and him and Troy Bake were talking about when Nolan was young. He looked from Boston. His mom was single, and his parents divorced stuff. So this guy is like, hey, is your mother home? He's like, she's a beautiful woman, your mother. It's like, and so that's why I brought that voice for Frank. If you watch Frank on the channel too, for puppets.
Yeah. So
I started doing that, and all of a sudden, like, so when I said I'm going live, and Breen's like, with your mother. So before we go live, it's always it's on cue. It's like going live with your mother. He even said it here. If you scroll up, I'm pretty sure he said it in the chat.
Yep.
Did you ever think about Artie? Do you ever think about being a voice actor?
I don't have the vocal range. I don't think I do.
You don't necessarily have to. I mean, there's some voices where it's just like, that's it. You're typecast. Like, that's who you're going to be from now on.
I'm the old guy that sends over there in the bar.
No, here's what. Okay, so I know who you should try. I know who you should try. Robert Stack.
I don't know who Robert Stack is. That's
the host of Unsolved Mysteries.
Oh, you've seen Airplane, haven't you?
Airplane, yeah. He was using
You've seen it, haven't you, Vank?
Yeah, he's the pilot.
Striker.
He goes, and in Unsolved, he's like, only you can help solve a mystery.
Only you can start forest fires.
No, that's a different guy.
That's Froggy.
That's the bear. That's
Froggy the bear. Froggy the bear.
Froggy the bear.
That is.
You ever seen Hey Billy? Ever seen a grown man naked?
Yeah. Full cavity search.
Tim, are you familiar with a Twitter site called Super 70 Sports?
No, I'm not. I don't watch sports.
It's not so much sports. It's sports and pop culture. It's very 70s and 80s centric. And he has a T-shirt line now. And my brother got me one that said, "You try dragging Walton and Lanier up and down the court for 48 minutes." Do you remember that from Airplane?
Yeah. I'm gonna look it up right now. Super 70 Sports.
My dad says you don't hustle on defense.
So, real quickly back to you're talking about. So you've been getting into the Larry Hama kind of like G.I. Joe stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't realize. I looked it up. It's like Dan Showing it, who I'm a big fan of, is doing the art on that book as well. He also did the art for the IDW Ghostbusters for all these years. Him and
they have a whatchamacallit. Let me think. Dan Schoening. What were you talking about before? Because I was talking about what?
G.I. Joe.
Oh, G.I. Joe. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, he's been doing the art with Larry Hama, but he also, before that, him and Eric Burnham were doing like the longest run for the IDW Ghostbusters. So that's why I discovered that guy. So now I hear that he's doing the art with Larry Hama, I might start checking some of that out because I like his art.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dan Schoening is great because he was an artist on Ghostbusters. He was an artist on whatchamacallit, Back to the Future for I think the first 2 issues.
Back to the Future. You said he Transformers, Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
The Ghost of Cybertron, which is like this 3 years ago. So it's like, and it's funny because it's like those two guys, they're very passionate about, you know, as far as Eric Burnham and Dan Schoening, they're Ghostbusters fans themselves. They're fans of everything they draw and write.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool when you see like writers and artists, you know, put their passion into their work.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's one of the reasons why I like Kamen America, because you actually, you know, you put effort into it, and it shows on the pages. Mark's dialogue is just great, everything on there, and then your expression and visual expressions when the characters. I said, and I know I said this earlier in the stream, but when you see the reactions, it's just like, dude, I feel like I'm just watching a regular shonen or reading a regular Shonen Jump, you know, manga or watching the anime. It's just like it's such a cool feeling because I didn't get into anime and stuff or manga until when I was like 16, 17 years old. You know, I'm now 37. So, and I kind of took a break in between because I wasn't reading comics or manga. I was just too busy working, you know, doing stuff, making money. And so getting back into it, so now I'm kind of like, I'm starting to delve in because of Kamen America. I'm starting to go back into reading manga now.
Oh,
You know?
thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that it can act as a springboard into it. We've gotten similar comments from people about that because a lot of people just read comics. They're not familiar with manga or perhaps interested in it, and then they read it and then they say, oh, this the art style is pleasing, and people would tell them, well, if you like that, you might want to check out some manga titles too. So I'm happy to hear that. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, when I started, what was it? When I got Wall Might, because that was the first one from you. It was Wall Might. It was the second one, and yeah, because My Hero Academia was like the big one that I was reading and watching at the time. So I was like, oh my gosh, it's like All Might, but it's different. But it's like it was really cool. So I got into that, and that was really my entry point into reading a lot of manga. Started with that, and now it's like half of what I read is manga. So. I mean, but yeah, y'all's the art style and everything across all these books is just phenomenal. I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's sometimes it's an acquired taste because, like I said, the manga aesthetic is not for everyone. Just because obviously there are certain proportions that they have kind of inflated, but yeah, for the most part, like it's only been recently in my life that's been kind of an influence. Most of it is I like hyper cartoony stylistic works. Like for example, I would say that probably Bruce Timm was a bigger influence.
Nice.
Yeah, than anything that's anime or manga related. I learned a lot about form and function just by observing and studying some of his model sheets and obviously watching the cartoons and stuff like that. And sometimes you'll see that in some of my work, especially like if you look at some of, like if I'm drawing Kamen America in the background and she's flying, I'll use like a Bruce Timm pose because in my head I can just see all the geometric shapes and how they interact with each other and stuff. So we do try to bridge basically East and West by the artistic style, but I'm never satisfied with it. It's always changing. Even right now with Kamen America 6, which just wrapped up, I was looking at it and comparing it to 5, and I was like, geez, it looks like two different artists yet again. I just can't be satisfied with just one style.
Yeah, that's something I hear too with a lot of artists is like it's always this constant strive for almost perfection, I guess I would say. It's like you're always thinking it could be better, That's something I find. Is that something that you go through, you find yourself going through a lot, like as an artist, like, oh, I could always do this better, or I could do this pose different?
Like an OCD trait or just
What it really boils down to is when I was working in merchandising, I was always asked to draw different things in different styles, and so I had to learn. So, for example, I think one of the hardest things I was asked to do was you have to draw pixel art. So you have to make it look like an old school video game screen. And I was like, how in the world do I do that? Like, that's crazy. And I remember for the first few hours, I was like, this is hard. How in the world do I draw and make it look like it's pixelated? And then it dawned on me, because I'm an idiot, it was like, you draw at the pixel level. So I had to shrink everything to basically like 100 by 100 pixels, draw using like a pencil tool, and then blow it up at the end. That's how I did it. And so I was like, oh, achievement unlocked. Now I can do this. And then another time they were like, okay, right now people are going back into what they call the Patrick Nagle style. So if you remember, any nail salon or hair place you went to in the 80s, they all had the same art style. All the art were these women who were like basically white mannequins. Like that's just how they look like. And it was because of an artist named Patrick Nagle. He kind of pioneered that style. And they said, hey, we want something that looks like this. It's a nice, like retro, kind of really pretty looking way of doing it. We need you to learn how to do that. So I went on eBay and I bought a Patrick Nagle art book. I looked at it and I said, okay, here's the line weight he uses, which is kind of neat. So I had to draw like that. And so I think right now what happens with comics is there are just times when I get kind of bored and it's like, okay, well, I drew her eyes small in that last issue, but now I want to experiment with drawing them bigger and more expressive. So then I change it again. And that's actually for 6, which is coming out in the fall.
Okay.
My line of thinking was, I liked like the retro 80s anime style. Like I think there was a nice flavor to it.
Yeah.
I think the first anime I actually watched was Project Echo, and I really liked the art in it. So I started studying some of that. But like I said, I always tell Mark, like, this is the style. Like I like this style so much. And it's like the SpongeBob SquarePants meme where it's like 1 minute later and everything changes. Everything changes again. So who knows?
We do that now. That we've done that with and whoever I usually know, Angleton. He does his 40-minute goodbye. So now because I have access to his stuff. So when he's on there, he's doing goodbye. I put up the thing. It says 40 minutes later. We started doing that with our readings. You know, when someone has one character has like 3 pages of dialogue. I'll put up 40 minutes later, and then I decided to I'll put eternity later as next to the SpongeBob thing. So
I am ready to monologue.
That's funny. Yeah, because that'll happen, and it'll be like, you know, when I was a kid, I was be like 5, 6 years old at church with my parents, and they'd be like, "Okay, we're gonna go eat lunch," but then they start talking to people, like different people, like all these people, and you're just like out there, like waiting by the car, just like kicking rocks, and it's like, 4 hours later.
All right, do you want me to show off the book, or do you want to?
It's up to you. I mean,
that's kind of why you're here, right? Do you want to?
I don't know. I'm here because you invited me on, and we're just here to kind of talk.
The conversation's up, you know. If I figured, I have the links in there, but I figured, just show off the book and everything that's going on.
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
Yeah, there's that. So let me share my screen. Breen, are you still there?
I am still here.
He's alive. Yeah, so this is the new one. I'm actually really excited for this. I love the Kamen America Black Ops crossover that y'all did previously. I thought that was really good.
Thank you.
So I'm really looking forward to the new one with Soulfinder getting thrown in the mix. I love this whole universe too that y'all have put together. One thing that I really like about what y'all are doing is, like, with a lot of indie books that I've backed, it's like a bunch of them are content kind of just stay, like, they'll do like 1, maybe 2 stories, and then that's almost it. That's almost all you ever get. Y'all just like keep like this ongoing story, all this ongoing universe going on, which is, I mean, my biggest gripe too with the modern comics is almost all the good books are mini series, and after like 6 issues it's done. It's like, I want a good, like, an ongoing story. So it's really cool that y'all do that. Y'all are like slowly constructing this whole universe.
I've never got a chance to get the Soulfinder stuff. So like I said, I focus more. I've been doing a lot of stuff on YouTube behind the scenes for with Angleton, and then we started doing this channel. I'm on Extreme Movie Show. So when it comes to looking Indiegogo and stuff, I usually forget that because I still collect Marvel DC stuff, independent books as well. So I always forget the online stuff. So for this, I can't believe it already sold out. I was like, oh, you can get the first 2 issues of Doug's comic book, and it's like sold out. And he brought it back again.
I have some good news for you, which I'm going to share after the stream. But
you're going to send them to me for free? No.
If you want them, I'll send them to you.
I'm just kidding.
That's no problem.
I feel bad because shipping, man, is like shipping is insane right now. Probably the prices, like, imagine
shipping. The price, there was a price hike in February. The good thing is that I don't think it's changed radically to the point where we've had to alter it for this particular campaign. I think we only went up $1. So instead of $5,
only $1,
yeah.
Wow, I thought it would increase it by like $10, like everything else.
No. As far as I'm concerned, it's still $6 for the shipping.
$30 for 5 gallons of gas.
I'll tell you, the one that's taking a hit is international. That one is pretty bad.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I've had some people contact me and they're like, "Why is the international shipping so much?" And I'm like, "You can go to stamps.com and just price a 2-pound box. Here's the dimensions, and then you tell
Yeah.
me." Because
Yeah.
honestly, what it is, and especially the one that's really rough is like the UK. I think this is the first time that the UK has actually outpriced some of our EU countries, and the reason why is because they have the implementation of the VAT tax, and that's on top of like the rising gas prices too. So it's made it difficult to get the pricing that we want for there, and that's why I think some people have learned that they might not like it, but if they're contemplating buying the other books, it's like you might as well pay for the other books because the shipping price doesn't increase by that much more if you add the extra weight onto it. But it's tough all around. You know how it is with the economy. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, definitely. But I mean, y'all have a lot of, I've seen on Twitter, y'all have a lot of readers and fans, like especially like in Japan, it seems like y'all are getting too.
Yeah.
Like a lot of readers over there like are really digging, especially Common America.
Yeah, we have. I think Japan and Australia are our two biggest foreign markets. We have more
Okay.
engagement with the Japanese thanks to Amazon digital orders,
Okay.
which is good, and that's neat. We actually have in Japan there's a thing called Dojinji, and the way it works is typically if you're trying to break out as a mangaka, what you do is you create a Dojinshi, which is like a fan created book. It's not licensed, it's not endorsed, but the idea is that you create it to kind of showcase how you would take a story and its characters and you bring it to like a Comic-Con or a Comic-Con, and hopefully editors and other people out there will see it and like it, and it's a nice way of getting your stuff out there. That's kind of a 180 from how it is here, because I mean we do a lot of Comic-Cons, and the one thing we have not seen is anyone basically creating like their own Spider-Man book because they're scared to get sued by Marvel in case one of their lawyers is prowling around.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
typically not how that works.
I'm sure there's got to be parodies out there, right?
Yeah, I'm sure there are. Yeah, but I know
not
that one
exactly.
of them. I think someone did one where it's basically like Wolverine's ABCs, and basically he was like slapped with a cease and desist, and was like, "Don't do that."
See, I never heard of I think his name is Black Spider, and DC character. I never heard of him until I watched Young Justice. I was like, did they just really just rip him off, Spider-Man? I was like, when I watched that third season, I was like, because I didn't realize he's been around for a while. Because I've always been a Marvel guy. I grew up reading Spider-Man. I didn't really read a lot of Avengers stuff, so I don't know how many characters are really out there until like they pop up or do a crossover. Because Spider-Man was my go-to. He did all the crossover stuff, and he had the perfect cast. So I really didn't need to venture out that much because I was getting quality stories going through. I lucked out back 2006. You remember they dropped those CD-ROMs? They had like 40th anniversary. You can get Fantastic Four. You can get Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. I got that for a birthday gift, and that's kind of what got me into going to the store and reading. Buying comic books.
Yeah.
Hey, Vank.
Yeah.
This is for Tim. Black Spider debuted in the July 1976 issue of Detective Comics. The cover said it was the Sacco Slugfest of 76.
I was waiting. As soon as you brought up a character you didn't know, I was like, I bet you Bree knows. I bet you he does.
I'm just very disappointed you didn't show the book.
I was about to say, I was waiting for his camera to turn on. He would pull it up.
It's upstairs. My fat ass isn't going up again.
Every book's upstairs.
No, unfortunately, I've got like 40 short boxes in my living room. So if I had friends, it would be very hard to entertain them.
Going back to the Dojinshi thing, so there's a handful of Japanese creators who like Common America, and they made their own, and they're debuting it at a Comic-Con here, I think, in the next month. So that's really, it's flattering. I messaged the guy who was in charge of it, and they're so polite, like the Japanese readers. That social media experience is just completely different, and they were very, very kind, and we exchanged a few pleasantries. But part of the whole Dojinshi thing is that it's considered it's very honorable if you're the main creator and you kind of give it your blessing. But me being able to kind of step in and just tell them like, oh, we're just really flattered that you're doing this, so hopefully it turns out well, and maybe you'll send us some copies, which they agreed to do too. So we like our Japanese reader base for sure.
How many cons do you do a year?
A lot. Normally about 15 on average.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. even during the height of 2020, during all the craziness, I think we did 6. So we did half as
wow,
much, but it
okay.
was still a lot more than what other people did.
And they're there
Yeah.
like what, like 8 hours, 10 hours? How many per day?
It's a long time. Like, no, they're normally 9 to 5. So
Oh,
yeah,
go there.
about 8
Okay,
hours.
so not okay.
I'll tell you, the crazy ones are like anime conventions. They're typically 24 hours.
Oh
Wow.
wow.
Yeah, so you'll have vendors and they'll sleep under the tables.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't been to a convention in probably since 2018, 2017 was the last one I went to. But I mean, even that was probably like an 8 to 5, 8 to 6, and then, you know, everybody would like go back to their hotel rooms and stuff. But yeah, I miss conventions. I miss cons. I need to get to one pretty soon.
We like them. Our next one I think is going to be next month around this time, and then the next one after that is going to be in August. Though I say that, we do have a convention this weekend. I forgot. We have a local convention that we're going to go to.
Cool.
That we're setting up with on Friday. So that should be a lot of fun.
Maranya has a question, Tim.
Yeah.
So if you could do a Common America crossover with a character from the Big Two, who would it be?
Oh my goodness. Again, it's going to be the laziest answer, but no, actually, I'm going to throw you a curveball. So I think for sure Spider-Man, because it's like I said, that's the only character that I can really think of with any great fondness. I would probably say the second one is. No, I'm going to change my answer. So the first one's not Spider-Man. It'll be Captain America.
What? You're changing? You're flip-flopping already?
Yeah, because that just seems like, kind of the pairing that you would expect. But I would pair them with Morph from the Age of Apocalypse.
Justice for Morph.
See, I was really, I was hoping your answer was going to be, let me ask Mark.
Yeah, let me ask
The idea
Mark.
guy.
Creative guy,
I
yeah.
can't compute. This is the creative answer. We have to get the creative guy on here. I am just the muscle.
Yeah, no, I've like I said, I mean, even back when you first introduced her, and I'm sure Mark and you worked this out, but yeah, with Walmart, when you had the parodies of all the different Marvel characters. I just remember reading through that and just thinking, this is the funniest thing, because I love puns, I love wordplay, and so just reading through, I was like, this is like the perfect, both the story, the way the characters were all drawn. I just thought it was awesome.
Thank you. You're too kind. That's, like I said, as far as the writing is concerned, that's all Mark. I have some editorial that I do on the back end and a little bit of help, but I mean, as far as the script, it's like 98% all him. So he makes it work for sure.
When I first heard you guys, I thought it was the opposite way. I thought Mark was the artist and you were the writer, because I was thinking like, you're putting the Asian guy as the artist? That's very cynical. I was like, what's going on here?
Yeah. It's you're like, he's the Asian artist. I don't want to make that assumption.
It's like, it can't be this on the nose.
It's too simple to think like that. Yeah.
It's gotta be another way.
Yeah. No, unfortunately, he's the wordsmith. That's for sure. My writing it's very much technical. So in the past, like, when I was in high school, I won like an award for, it was just a school thing, but like for essay writing and stuff like that. Typically, I'm pretty good at getting thoughts across and being able to be a copy editor. But as far as creative writing, it's just not in me at all.
All right. So I want to talk about this little video you guys got here. So, it's always interesting when I come on here and some of the Kickstarters, they have music and they have animation. This is kind of insane. And I don't know if my internet's that great or not, but I mean, if the audio is too loud, let me know.
Okay.
Bye.
Still we'll go forging forward unto the dawn, standing strong, soldier on, Soulfinder. Soulfinder, saving grace, no hope within the darkest place. When the struggle with each other, Soulfinder will lead us back hide inside of our minds. Still we will find the light and fight till dawn. Standing strong, soldier on, Soulfinder. Soulfinder, saving grace. No hope within the darkest place. When we struggle with each other, Soulfinder will lead us back home.
That is cool. That gave me like I was thinking of like all the opening
Yeah.
title sequences of the James Bond movies
And
with like that kind of jazzy music overtone. That was awesome.
that was my first time actually watching the actual trailer because I wanted to see the reaction for actually when it went on live because now I didn't know how long it was going to go. I'm like thinking to myself, I'm like, is this going to go for 15 minutes? How long is this song? Because like it's going, and it's going. The beat's slow. I'm like, hold. It's just like a Hammerstein, or what's the guy's name? The Bond stuff.
Yeah, was it Rogers and Hammerstein? I know they do
was
musicals, but I don't know about
Yeah,
that.
but I mean, like, how long is this gonna be going? It's interesting because I've seen other projects before too. Some CG related projects, books in their campaigns. They have the music, the animation stuff. How did you get in contact with the singer? Because I realized you had a CD album out or soundtrack for a while.
Yeah, what we did was we just put out kind of a social media call, and we said, hey, we're interested in doing this project. We need someone with a lot of vocal range, and it would be nice if they could submit a portfolio. And so we had a few local people reach out, all sent portfolios, and then we listened to them. And Shilava, she was the one who kind of won that initial search. We had actually basically broken it down to 2 people. And so we contacted her, and then we said, hey, let's meet up, and then we can kind of talk about what we're looking for. And so we did. And she was just the most impressive one. As far as the way she carried herself and her professionalism and things like that, we just thought, well, I don't even know if we need the second round. We can just stop right here. And sure enough, it worked out really well. And so she's been kind of doing our theme songs, at least for every time we launch like a new quote unquote saga, which is a cluster of 4 books as far as this is concerned.
All right, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And then the animation was all you drew it, and then somebody else put it together for you, or
No, the animation was someone named someone else, 45. I think he's from Japan.
Oh, okay.
And,
okay.
And he did that.
Yeah, the animation that did look really cool.
You guys have been teasing. Even on YouTube, there's even a Kamen America little mini animated clips of like it's cartoon almost.
Yeah.
I think that. I mean, people talk about the webtoons. I'd be excited for an anime. It's like as you get enough books out, you can put the anime out.
very, very small steps. That's for sure.
I know.
Yeah, baby steps. Yeah,
baby steps. The other thing too is that we don't really have any ambitions. Honestly, we just play it by ear. At most, we can probably predict 4 months ahead of time in terms of what we're going to do next. But we don't know. I mean, honestly, people have asked in the past, like, as far as like modeling your books and the way your trajectory goes, who would you say you model them after? And we say Stan Sakai, because if you look at Stan Sakai's Usagi Yojimbo, he just has been working on that this whole time. It's just one book, and he just makes enough money where he can do that. Now, granted, are there merchandising tie-ins and stuff like that? Yeah, but it's not anywhere close to like the Ninja Turtles or any property that's very similar in that same vein. But he just does what he likes, and that's fine. And I think there is a Usagi Yojimbo cartoon coming out.
I think so. I think Netflix has it's like a computer animated series. I don't know if it's directly
it's loosely based off.
It's loosely, it's loosely based off Usagi Yojimbo.
Yeah, it's more it looks more a comedy. I've never read Usagi Yojimbo. I'm not sure how serious that's supposed to be, but the cartoon looks more kid friendly cartoon.
It's got a very Kung Fu Panda kind of vibe. To it.
Yeah. It's lighthearted. So I think as far as the vein of it, like the tonality, probably consistent. Now I think aesthetically, it looks very, very different. But Again, that's kind of what we're thinking. It's like, well, who knows? As long as we're making enough money to keep on making the books, we'll just keep on
Yeah.
putting them
Oh
out.
yeah. Absolutely.
Now
Yeah.
I gotta ask: is this gonna be like the front and the back of the books, or the inside?
Yes,
No.
those are the end sheets. So those
Okay.
are when you open up the
Awesome.
hardcover. That's typically the first thing you see on the 2-page spread.
That's cool.
Yeah. Those are beautiful.
And
yeah.
I see that you got. I also saw on Twitter, I think it was like last year, somebody has been translating your books into Japanese and stuff.
Yeah, those are fan translations.
That's crazy.
That's
yeah.
awesome.
Like that, it reached that far over there where people are actually fans of your work, is obviously because it's similar to manga style. So I imagine people are like, it's Western with manga influence.
Yeah, and the good thing is that we are working on Kamen America, the manga too, and that one is going to be translated into Japanese.
Is
for
that
sure.
gonna be? Is that gonna be like a traditional manga where you you
Mhm.
read from what we consider the back of the book, and then you read like right to left? Is it gonna be like
Yes.
designed like that's awesome?
Yes. It's
Oh,
gonna
that's
read.
cool.
It's gonna read right to left. The
You-
art
you
is
should
done
get-
right to left.
You should get Breen that copy of that so he can read from right to left.
He's gonna be like, how does this go?
Yeah, Breen is like, I don't.
I have read thousands of manga. Thank
Oh,
you.
you have? Good.
Name one.
You know what my favorites were I can't remember the guy's name, but he did like Tomi and Uzumaki, I think, the horror ones.
Oh yeah, Uzumaki.
But I've read everything from that. From hell, I had 14 volumes of Chibi Vampire. I mean, I like the real sweet and innocent stuff, and I like the just straight horror and pretty much everything in between. So I used to own about I don't know if thousands, that might be an exaggeration, but I used to own about 600 mangas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Those are as funny. We get the tropes they have for like, you get the small little girl, but then she's like the most deadliest one there is.
Here's how I'm going to prove I can remember
Oh, boy.
reading entire volumes of Initial D where the entire volume is just one drift. There.
I didn't even know they did that. Are you
Thread
serious?
established.
Yeah. So I was going through
and,
this. Go ahead.
Battle Royale.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
Fantastic. I said the one volume about the boy and girl that were in a relationship, and they knew that only one could survive, and they didn't want to have to be put in a position to try to kill each other. So basically, the entire volume is them talking about life and stuff like that, and at the end, they jump off a cliff together. It doesn't. It's kind of like trying to describe a soap opera if you don't watch it, but if you read it in context, it really was a powerful volume of it.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I like your business model here. You're paying $5 for what would normally be a Marvel DC physical. You're getting the digital.
Yeah.
But then if you do the $10, you're getting a hardcover, which would be in $30 if you're going through Marvel, or $15 if you went through Image.
I don't know about that. I don't know about.
But
the
those are soft
pricing.
covers, though. I'm talking about you're getting a hardcover, though.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. As far as the pricing is concerned, it kind of just depends. I mean, obviously, I think there's a
Shipping
couple things.
obviously shipping included, but I mean, it's I've always liked that. You guys were cheaper than some of the other projects that are going out right now.
Mhm.
And you're getting the hardcover. You're getting like, this is 72 pages for $10.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
insane.
It's we try to keep our prices pretty competitive. So
Do you want
we
to
negotiate a really good
get
deal.
for 72 pages from DC when they do their technically 100 pages?
Disappointment.
Yeah. No, I mean,
Yeah,
like,
pretty
you're
much.
getting a hardcover. You're not getting a soft cover. DC doesn't even do you soft covers. What you're getting from them, there's 72-page books. If you can get that, you're getting just paper.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's
I
all you're
mean,
getting.
And
It's
you're getting
prestige
like most
format,
of them are filled up with
almost.
ads
Not
too.
really.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You get like 4 or 5 ads for something. Like there's one for a Jeep, or,
Yeah, right.
or for a watch at the back. It's like, those who watch Captain Frugal, he's been doing this like in the front and back covers. He's been doing those videos, and he just talks about the front and the back covers of books.
Uh-huh.
Back, I mean, I've always loved that when you read like the ads in the older books, comic books, you'd have like everything was like first it was like board games,
Uh-huh.
Risk, and then it became like the 90s. Oh, it's like maybe Pringles and like video games, Sega Genesis. Now it's like, oh, there is this ad for this other book you may not want to read, and there's a watch ad. What can you think of? I want to watch.
Comic ads haven't been the same since the insult that made a man out of Mac, and then if you turn to the back cover, you could get a BB gun.
Yeah, those were
Yeah.
good times. Or like those Charles Atlas ones.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the insult
yeah.
that made a man out of
Yeah.
Mac.
Yeah,
I'll gamble a free stamp and get the Charles Atlas. Make me a man.
it was so cool. Like you could order like other books. You your order form. Like these books coming out. You could order these books, and then then you had the movie posters, and you had the CDs, the records. Back in the day, it's weird how ads have just gone away from kids and just gone to adults.
There was have any of you actually turned in any of that stuff to get something from there? I think I
Green
only
did. It worked for a while. The muscle one.
You know what would be funny? So when you said that, I thought what you meant was that he did that recently. Like you found an old ad.
No.
I thought about doing that. I
When-
did. I have
when
like
Breen-
these old back issues. Like I wonder if I filled out this form, what would happen?
When Breen was a boy, he turned the thing.
Dinosaurs roam. Oh yeah, no, never mind.
No. The dinosaurs was. Well, I guess that'd probably be like. Yeah, I guess the dinosaur was the boy when he was a teenager. The comic books came out.
You're like, I wonder if I could still get in on those sea monkeys.
Yes. Well, we've actually talked about that on the Fossil Show, and I think one of the guys did, or somebody in the chat did send away for those when you could get 200 like Revolutionary War soldiers,
Mm-hmm.
and they turned out to be little more than little pieces of cardboard.
Aww.
But it was
Disappointing.
apparently was disappointment. But yeah, and you get the X-ray specs.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of suspect those didn't work either.
My curiosity is piqued as to like how those things work. Like, okay, obviously they're not going to give you real X-ray vision, but it's like, what did they do?
My guess is they were probably like a bad pair of 3D glasses that you would get in like a 3D comic.
Oh, okay. Or I thought that what they do is like they just had like cutouts of skeletons like in them.
Or just like draw swirls on the lenses.
Yeah.
I like the dossier on this. This is
Yeah.
cool. That's what
Yeah,
kind
that's
of
really cool.
really drew me into when I was looking over purchasing which one to get. And I like that. It's whenever you have like the dossier kind of like stuff like this. It's good. It reminds me of like when you'd pick up what was that one that you like for Brubaker? Is it Gotham Central?
Gotham Central was
Yeah. Didn't they have stuff like this? Like they show like this, not on the covers, but I mean like in the inside, they show like the files and stuff.
Occasionally, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
I know they did it a lot with like it was a Bendis book. I think it was like Secret War or something. Nick Fury would have secret files and everything that would look like this. But yeah, no, I dig it, especially like looking at this page. I mean, I know all of your stories and all the books that come out, they're pretty much one shot. Like you don't need to necessarily read all the previous, and this just makes it like it's accessibility, right? So if you have like a brand new reader, maybe they haven't read the last.
well,
5
yeah,
issues.
introducing Soulfinder into your, so you had to do a dossier because for those who may only read Doug's books, you may not have read Kamen America,
right?
Exactly. So it's a nice little just a basic information, and I imagine it was Mark's idea probably to do this, right?
Actually, it was actually my idea.
Oh, was it?
Wow, you took his one contribution and you gave it to Mark.
Yeah, and the reason why is because it's not really creative. It's just it's like I said, technical text.
It's a technical,
like, okay,
yeah.
well, there's just kind of what
It's
the
done
characters
before,
do.
but it's still a cool thing because you don't see it a lot as much. You would think you would.
Yeah. Well, it also, I mean, it sets the tone too, because it's like, okay, this is task force, this is the military. It kind of gets you because that's how Black Ops is. This is very military, Black Ops kind of stuff.
The other reason I like this is because, my brain, you know this, brother. I watch Bosch, so you always have the files, on the suspects. They have, the cold case files.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what it reminds me of. That it's like a cold case file. Here's the suspects, people involved, photos. So that's kind of cool. Like I said, when I see the paperclip and all that stuff. My next question though, and is actually, I'm sure you got tons of questions too, if you haven't already asked them yet. But for Tim, who comes up with what goes into which pledge?
What goes to which pledge?
As far as the add-ons and stuff, because you got the 25, you got the 10.
Yeah.
Who comes up with all these as far as adding on stuff and what's
I typically will come in at the very beginning and I'll assemble the campaign, and then the fulfillment team will come in the back end, and they will look at the shipping and the pricing and everything like that. Sometimes they might ask me a question in terms of, well, what was your overhead for this particular item and whatnot. Typically, I set the prices for those types of items. They'll give their own input on it, but they're the ones who will typically do the shipping information because they're the ones having to worry about all of that. So they want to make sure that all of our P's and Q's are minded, so that we don't undercharge for shipping.
Yeah, I noticed this time there's no $200 one, or $300 one.
This campaign was hard. So one thing that we avoided was we didn't want add-ons, because add-ons screws up their fulfillment, because you have so many combinations and permutations of
the little stands and stuff you had to do.
Yeah, and that's why we decided, well, let's just make sure to just do a bundled tier for one of the add-ons, and that's fine. We can actually control that amount and where it goes and whatnot. But the problem we ran into was we sold out of Soulfinder books in the first 24 hours.
Yeah.
And this is one of those things where, again, we don't know what we're doing. And that's one of the reasons why I don't give general advice, because it's like, typically I can give advice after the fact, like after it's happened. I can just say, like, this is our thinking, at least, is what happened, and if it worked, if it didn't work. But we always treat campaigns as if it's new people seeing it for the first time. So it's like, how do I get in on it? Do you have something that accommodates for all of it? Mm-hmm. So for this one, because we order our books way ahead of time, everything has to be matched to the core book itself. And I just thought, well, in storage, we have about 600 Soulfinder books. So let's just divvy up Soulfinder evenly throughout. It didn't occur to me that people would be like, I have all your Black Ops, I have all your Common America, I just want all of Soulfinder. Mm-hmm. And so we just ran through that like crazy, but through both platforms. I had to contact Iconic because they have their own personal stock that they sell. So it's stuff that we don't touch, that they're allowed to resell on their website. And I said, is there any way that we can release those books? And they said, yeah, it's not a problem. We can release a few for you guys, throw you guys a bone. And I said, but we have to release them as add-ons. And they're like, my gosh, we're going to take some out of your hide, Tim, because we don't like working with those add-ons. They create such a mess. And I just said, we have to, because we have run out of everything. And so we released more on Friday. So we released 200 more. And if I'm not mistaken, we sold out on Kickstarter. We're still sold out. And on Indiegogo, I think we have under 15 left. So those are still sitting out there for people who want them. The good thing,
folks,
though,
if you don't have Soulfinder, go find them on Indiegogo real quick.
So basically, there's no chance of your books ever making to the comic book shelves?
There are, yeah. Antarctic Press, they sell our books through the retail sector. Now, they are truncated. The hard copies, you're going to get 8 extra pages, and that includes an epilogue, and that includes the fan art gallery. Oh, cool. And they're obviously hardcover.
And those were included in the PDFs as far as epilogues?
And those are also included in the PDF. So anytime you go through the campaign, you basically get the full version of the book. Probably the only cosmetic difference is the cover.
Okay.
But in the Antarctic Press version, they missed those 8 pages. So those 8 pages are not included in their version, and it's obviously not hardcover. They're floppy books. But they're cheaper.
When I saw this, I was like, oh, it's a cool cover. And then I was like, Indiegogo. Oh, I was like, why do you got 2 covers, bro? I was looking at the Indiegogo. I was like, now, because it's going to be Indiegogo, is this Indiegogo live right now, or is this after? So they're both live at the same time.
Both live simultaneously. Yeah, you can choose which one you have.
That's insane.
Yeah, and it's because I heard that Kickstarter doesn't care as long as they take some priority, and as long as you're offering 2 different things.
Yeah,
they don't really pay attention to that, or they don't mind, or they don't care. So we do it. Now, our audience at Indiegogo is much smaller, so it's a much smaller quantity as far as what's on there. So once we're sold out, we're sold out. There's just nothing in there. So we still have a ways to go in Kickstarter, but we are still, metrically, we're ahead of everywhere we need to be, no matter how you look at it. So we're doing very well so far.
So we were going to release this as a poster. It was so cool.
We're not, but we might release it as a postcard just to help people out.
That would be cool. Yeah, because sometimes I wish the big 2 would do that, because like whenever they do like these they do like 2 or 3 events a year. I wish they would do this so that you could keep track of the timeline and stuff. But yeah, that's really cool because I remember reading through like the Common America Black Ops. I'm like, okay, where does this kind of fit in? Is it between 2 and 3 or 3 and 4? Or yeah, that's really cool.
Because it's funny when I see stuff of this, it reminds me of the Gundam stuff. It's like the Mobile Suit Gundam. Here's the timeline events of where this took place. Each anime. it's so cool.
Now the best part about it though, and this is because of Mark, I cannot take credit for this, is all of our books are designed to be written as isolated things. So if you only want to read Black Ops, that's all you have to read. If all you want to read is Common America, that's all you have to read. Same thing with Soulfinder. So
that's awesome.
There's no obligation to buy the other titles. If we do happen to introduce characters from another book, it's actually addressed in continuity so that they organically fit in and it doesn't like have a cross reference where it's like
you guys are doing the little boxes, right? Like you said before, it says see this if you want to read more about this.
So we do put that in there where it's like, if you do want to see it, you can, but you don't have
Which
to.
I miss in Marvel and DC. Marvel and DC books are trying to do it somewhat, but not a lot.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's really cool though that you try to make them like self-contained stories. I mean, that's why I like the early Mission Impossible movies used to be like that. Like they were just self-isolated. You didn't have to watch them in sequence or anything. You could just, if you wanted to watch 2 for some reason, or if you wanted to watch 3, you could. And you didn't have to watch anything previous.
Yeah.
And exclusive through our if you want to give us money through the Ko-fi link, and we'll get you either your little puppets, your little Black Ops puppets, right?
I wish. Like I said, I need to research that. Let's see, how much do puppets cost to make?
I think it's cool that you have your own. Like you said, you can just come on the channel with us, and you only have one little puppet.
Just have the little bunny rabbit.
The bunny rabbit though isn't the puppet; it's a stuffed animal, so he can't.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Did you gut the stuffed animal? You horrible!
I disemboweled it.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, no.
It's better than a real rabbit, I guess.
Yeah, no, we don't have real rabbits.
Yeah, no,
not at all.
But yeah, you got all these great, all these collections. So like, if you haven't read Common America, but you've read Black Ops and Soulfinder, you can get the crossover with the Common America, like the omnibus and volume 2. You can get all caught up. That's awesome.
Yep.
And then these are all available for purchase separately on Iconics, right?
Comics. you can buy them individually. So the one thing we don't do, again, because of the add-ons, like I said, it's a nightmare to deal with all of those books. You can buy them a la carte on Iconic. You don't we don't do the a la carte option here. You got to buy.
You got to go through their website.
Yeah, but the good thing is that if you use promo code Black Ops or Hair Trigger, you can get $5 off. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think they actually dropped the prices on some of the Soulfinder books just to accommodate. So,
nice.
I think you get like number 1 for 15, and number 2 for 20.
They still on that website they offer the PDFs.
No,
or they only physical you buy from
only
them.
Physical. And if you do want the PDF, you can go on Amazon. And we've had some people say, "Well, I don't use Amazon. I don't use Kindle." Well,
yeah, I think I included that in the description below in this video. That Mark has a link to on his Twitter account to the Amazon everything on there. So if you're looking for stuff,
and he does a pretty good job doing that as far as
it's better than Pixel.
What'd you say?
It's better than Pixel. I'm always tagging videos on his channel.
Yeah, because when it comes to like the assembly of the book and stuff like that, as far as like the labor is concerned, the art, coloring, lettering, collating, pagination, digital prepress, editing, I typically handle all of that. He writes, but we split everything 50-50. And the reason why is that, we've had some people, it's part of the whole artist versus writer debate. And I'm like, look, I'm just speaking as the artist. Like, I can't do this book without the writer. In my mind, it's like trying to separate an engine from the car itself. Like, it could be the car that quote unquote makes the car, but without that engine, it's nothing. Like, they have to work kind of synergistically together. So the way Mark picks up the slack is he's really good on social media. So he typically does a good job during the day, kind of promoting and stuff like that. Yeah,
and hopefully the hand model gets paid too.
Hopefully the hand model gets paid too.
And the person wearing the shirt gets paid.
That's Mark. He's jacked.
Okay.
Google image search, crop.
Yeah.
It's actually Jeff Spokes. You didn't know that? That's all. Yeah.
Yeah, I've I don't know actually know what Jeff Spokes looks like.
And that's some.
I don't
think
know
that's
either. I'm
Matt
going with
Weldon's
that, though.
art.
You want to hear a really funny story? So do you know Brian Ball?
Yeah, from
He's the
Rags.
Rags guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I went for about 1.5 years before I found out he was black. We were like talking on, I think it was like Facebook Messenger or something, and he put up his video. He was black, and I was like, "Oh, you're black," and he's like, "Yeah, you didn't know that?" I said, "No,"
Honestly,
and I was just like, "Okay, cool."
honestly, until I saw a photo of you, I didn't think you were Asian. I just,
thanks.
I
Yeah.
said, like, I don't pay attention to accents as much. You know, I just assume that everybody is just a human being, and they're kind. As long as you're kind to me,
Yeah.
that's all that matters, right? I don't care.
Yeah, exactly. It's like,
yeah.
hey, if we can talk and we can jive, sure, that's all we need to do.
We always joke about Skip
Exactly.
Josh coming on here. He's like, you're our only black person that comes on this channel. No one else will come on here because of Zach.
And Skip and I are twins. Skip and I are twins too, so it's like.
Yeah, I'm picturing a conversation a little bit down the road. You know, it's funny. Tim won't come on anymore. I wonder why that is.
We filled our ratio now.
I will say if I can't come on streams, it's because I'm busy.
Well, yeah, sure. I mean,
Well,
yeah.
You've
You're like
said it many
hard
times.
workers.
You listen to streams in the background. You're
I
constantly
use it as
drawing
background.
something, or you're eating dinner.
Yeah. And I'll tell you a really funny one. It's it might have been like I think it was Lorenzo Sleestack's stream.
Oh, okay.
He was like, man, you know, the old crowd isn't here. I remember when Tim Lim used to be here. And I just commented this like, I am here. And they're like, whoa, that was crazy. And they're like, how you doing? And I was like, I listen in the background to some of these streams. I just don't comment. I mean,
Right.
I used to do that all the time. I do that, you know, if I'd be reading something, I'd have something in the background. So if I'm by myself in the house, it gets quiet. So I gotta have something on, either it's music or a stream on. So I'll have in the background. Sometimes I have live streams on, and I'll be reading books, you know, and yeah, I'll eventually. Sometimes I don't comment at all the whole entire stream.
He'll do that on panel when he's on stream. He'll just be quiet while other people are talking. Vinkman, do you have anything you want to add? Oh, it's like, oh no, I'm sorry, I'm just over here reading Spider-Man.
Yeah,
Sorry, I was too busy reading my Top Gun magazine.
Those are good. Those are good moments.
Well, I mean, in fairness, if we're on a Discord call for like 6 hours, dude, sometimes I can't, like, if somebody's two people having a conversation.
What did you say about 6 hours?
6
yeah,
hours.
we used
to do that on Ash and
conversations.
Comics. We go in his Discord. We get a group of us together, and we'd all just hang out, you know, on a Friday night or Saturday night.
We get in there at like midnight, and it's like
midnight. It'd be like,
oh my gosh,
Ronnie and I, because she stays up because she their husband goes to work and stuff, you know, and so I'm usually up to 6 o'clock in the morning anyway. So I'm reading comic books or I'm catching up on shows or whatever. So sometimes we'll be in there, and if you have two people are engaged in a conversation and I have no interest in it, I'm not on camera. I'm just sitting there reading a book.
So one of the reasons for those 6-hour Discord things is sometimes when Ash gets going, he can deliver a sentence longer than Jack Kerouac's Subterraneans.
All right.
Look it up, anybody that didn't get that reference.
Everyone under 30 did not understand that.
Well, apparently the entire book is one sentence.
Yeah. Wow.
Oh wow.
I've never read it.
Me
I
neither.
won't put myself through that.
I'm not surprised to see it sold out over these Jeff Spokes.
I know. I'm looking at this. I'm like, wow.
And I have the art with me. They're 11 by. I haven't measured it in such a long time. They're either 12 by 18 or 11 by 17.
Zach wants one as a poster. His wife
Oh.
approved.
No, scroll back down. That's Matthew Weldon right
Yeah,
there.
that's a
I
Matthew
can tell
Weldon.
As
that
long as you
a
put a
mile.
cute little rabbit on there, it's okay, right, Zach?
Yeah.
Alright,
Well, that's
yeah.
the thing. Like y'all did for one of y'all's campaigns, y'all had those mouse pads
Uh-huh.
where it was like Black Hops and then the Otter. And I
Yeah.
was like, that's the most genius mouse pad, because you see like at conventions and stuff, like everyone has the mouse pads where it's like the anime girl, and it's
Yeah.
like okay, but like this was like I was like, this is the most wholesome, just wonderful idea. I mean, it was just genius. I was like, I could get a mouse pad that looks and operates like the other ones, but I could actually like show this off to people, like to my wife and stuff.
It has to make sure to pass muster with my wife.
There you go. That's I'm in the same boat. You've got to, if it passes the wife test.
Yes, and she
okay.
she has a mouse pad at work, so she uses it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just like it's funny though because you have the chibi form always of Charlotte.
Yeah.
And and she's blonde, so it fits because like she always seems like she's kind of like an airhead a little bit, because she gets so focused on one thing and she totally forgets. And then you have Kamen, Comet, who's always her like, oh god,
I love Comet though. Comet is awesome.
It's hard to decide like whenever we poll people in terms of who they like. It really is just spread across the board. I mean, everyone has their favorite. I mean,
right.
Kamen obviously is more of a tomboy, so people like that. Kimiko is a little bit more. She's a lot more innocent, and she's very perky and bubbly.
I would say she's more just doesn't give a shit. She's just gonna say what's on her mind, which I like.
Yeah,
about her.
And so the other thing too is that, and again, this is one of those things that we talk about behind the scenes that isn't necessarily said in the book, but they represent the three classical concepts of beauty.
Okay.
You have truth, goodness, and then obviously beauty itself.
Mm-hmm.
But truth is Kamen because she's always blunt. She'll tell you what she thinks, even if it's something that's not popular.
Blowing things up and
yeah. Goodness is Kimiko because she's very kind-hearted. Like she basically wears her heart on her sleeve, and you know that everything that she does, like her intentions are always pure. And then Sylvia's beauty because she's beautiful, but it also means that it also contributes to all of their flaws. So for example, Kimiko is kind-hearted, but she has a hard time maybe telling the truth because that's something that she's lacking in. Meanwhile, you have Misha. She's very truthful, but she's not good. I mean, she's probably the only person on the team who's literally murdered people. Like, and then Sylvia is beautiful, but she's very lacking in those other two qualities. And then what Carly represents is kind of the jack of all trades. She has little pieces of all of them, but not any one of them completely. And that's why you see her struggle typically in her books, because she has to make up for that or learn those lessons.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. I hadn't thought about that. That's really cool how you came up with that for all the characters. That's awesome.
Yeah, I noticed that when I was reading, like, I think it was a volume 3. I was reading that, and I noticed how, and it's even brought up by, I forget the guy's name, and the guy that the main character likes.
Siggy,
yeah. It's such a weird name. So
you know what he's named after, right?
No.
Sig Sauer.
Really?
The gun.
Of course, because
he works at the gun shop too. Yeah, that's awesome. Oh, that's cool.
And then Steyr. Steyr is actually a brand, but it's also the name of an area in Austria, Styria. But that's what it all makes sense. Works at a gun shop. Last name is Steyr. First name is Sigmund. So.
Right. So yeah, so I like the fact that she's got a secret crush on him, but like, and he kind of likes her too, but she's too oblivious to even notice it. But then you got Kamen. I think it's Kamen. It's Misha, right?
Yeah. Misha, yeah.
Misha, and you see in volume 3, Misha's like, and it's like, hey, I'll see you later. And like, the main girl's like, what was that all about? What's going on?
Yeah, she's like, what is that? Like, was she flirting with
so
that dude or whatever?
and like I said, and that's it's not the way you do it. I'm trying not to insult you like that. Not my intentions here, but that's something you've seen before, and we've seen this in anime and stuff where the main girl likes somebody, and then somebody steps in, and then she's like, "What's going on here? What? That's my guy." It's like I'm just curious, like, is that eventually going to be played into the book more, like as far as like,
yes,
Siggy's going to be like the main guy, and like all the girls are just like it's like one harem.
Yeah,
because a Common Core becomes a harem for Siggy.
Yeah, those are called harem comedies.
Yes.
No, we're not going to play it out to that extent, just because I don't know, for various reasons. I think it would almost be too on the nose if we did that.
Yeah. I know. It's just funny because it's like you just see that it's like one likes him, and then like, oh, the other one likes him because he's got good quality traits, and just like.
But it serves the story because Misha grew up on a battlefield, and everything has to be done in a split second. Your decision making, you have to really seize the day and
Yep.
know what you want and take advantage of it. But the reality is that, and you encounter this all the time with a lot of people growing up, especially, where like between that age of like 18 to maybe 21, where you're in that final stage of formation as an adult, you have maybe friends where you've been friends with the opposite sex for a while, and you're stuck in that position where it's like, okay, how do we reconcile our feelings with each other? Is it a true thing, or is it just a byproduct of having grown up with each other? Because I mean, that just happens, especially here in the South. You hear about it all the time. And the good thing is that more times than not, I've known many people who got married very young, like maybe 22, because they just knew, like, my high school sweetheart, that's who I want to be with. And it's a nice story that hopefully has a nice ending. But in the case of Carly and Siggy, we've seen throughout the series that they just never were able to really solidify what the nature of their relationship was. They were just really good friends all these years, but suddenly you have this person come along, and Carly has to make a choice. And we see at the end of Volume 4, she's like, oh, that's my boyfriend. And Siggy's just a shock because he's like, boyfriend. But because of the events of Volume 4 at the conclusion, when we look at Volume 5, it's clear that you still haven't had that conversation.
Yeah.
Because she still has her own things that she's going through. And Misha's like, if you don't make a move, like, I'm going to make a move. So you need to decide really quickly, like, what you want to do.
Poor Ziggy. He just can't say, I want both.
Right. Yeah.
No, he's
he won't,
too good
he
of
won't
a guy
do
for
that.
that. Yeah.
He's a good guy.
It'd be
He's not-
funny if those two are fighting over him and he just goes up with one of the other girls.
Yeah.
Like, oh, Kimiko's not starting trouble.
It's like some other girl, like a brand new girl that has no new character. It has nothing to do with either one of them. They're like, oh crap. Yeah, it was, I love the little drama, the little spurts and stuff in there. Any plans for like an evil Kamen America?
I can't spoil that.
See, so it's in the works.
I put out this thing today where we have a lot of things that we work on in the background. Some of them we'll use, some of them we won't. But it's like Kamen America has a motorcycle, and there's 2 concept designs for it. And then like one of the designs actually formed something. And so we're like, we don't know if these concepts will be used.
Kamen SJW, that's what it'll be.
Like you just,
No.
so do you guys just get like ideas for stuff like storylines or story beats? You just like put it on like a post-it card, and you're like,
that's essentially
okay, if
what
we
do.
get down the road and this comes up organically and we think it works, you just pull it off and you just start to use that.
Yeah, that's essentially what we do.
Cool.
We just come up with random ideas, and we put them in kind of a Dropbox folder of other concepts that we have, and we just kind of shuttle them away, and we ask ourselves, like, at some point, maybe it'll be a good idea to use this. That's actually going to happen in this saga right now. We already know, like, oh, remember the idea we came up with, like, in Volume 4? Like, let's use that for Volume 8. So
Nice.
I can't wait to get to Volume 10. There's one giant disc tome.
Yeah, we were thinking about it because I was like, by this time next year, by the fall, we'll have the second omnibus out. We'll have already concluded the second saga, so we're really excited about that.
How heavy does the book have to be before you can't ship it?
Oh my gosh! At some point, what's gonna happen is we will just get to the point where we will only sell books that are in recent memory.
Yeah.
And if people want things like a first volume omnibus, I mean, you'll just have to either go to Iconic and buy it directly or go on eBay, because we're going to get to that point where it's like, can't sell you our whole volume without running into some logistical problems. Well, who knows? We might, but it involves a lot of reprinting, and there's a price increase in that. Someone had asked through Messenger this morning, they said, like, when you, like, do you plan on reprinting these hardcovers? Why or why not? And I said, we can't reprint the hardcovers because we get a really good deal negotiating based on quantity. So we have no idea what the reprint number is going to be. I mean, let's say that there's only 50 people who want it, but to get the price that we want, we're going to have to print thousands of books. For all we know, those books might be sitting on a shelf somewhere. And here we are having paid, I don't know, let's make up a number, like $8,000 for all these books, and there's nothing you can do. So more than likely what we're going to do is just reprint Saddle Stitch. It's a lot cheaper that way. And it makes it so that if you got in on the campaign on the first go around, you got the best deal, $10 for the hardcover.
Yeah. And that's a great deal. That's like unbeatable.
You buy these 2 omnibuses, you get this one free plushie of the Black Ops.
Yeah, exactly.
So like that was like so like with each campaign, y'all always seem to have like something brand new, like a brand new piece of merch. Like I remember y'all did like the Common America mask for one campaign. You
Yeah.
had the different standees. Like is there? Do y'all think like down the road? Do y'all think like he was saying? Do y'all think plushies or like we were joking
You
about
know,
puppets earlier? Like is there something that you would like to do eventually as like an additional piece of merchandise?
The one that we're working on, I kind of tease it on Twitter, but I honestly don't know like if we can go more than that. But we have the statue coming out in the fall. It's a maquette technically, so it's like
Cool.
something that you can use as a drawing reference. But
Awesome.
in the spring, hopefully, we are going to have an articulated action figure. That's like the next big thing that we are
Awesome.
investing into.
Breen,
Oh, that's cool.
Breen, what were the name of those pens? Are you shaking and the girl's clothes fell off? That's the next
Oh, those
comment.
nudie pens.
Oh, I think they were. Well, I don't know what they were called, but I think they were Kozik
Okay.
characters in it. Frank Kozik, I think the guy's name was.
My gosh, like that reminds me. It's like
Gonna ruin the wholesomeness of the characters on TV.
I listen to Catholic podcasts, and one of the conversations they were talking about was like the proliferation of pornography, and I thought to myself of kind of that Family Guy joke where they go to like this expo hall where it's like technology stuff, and there was a guy, and it's like, behold the power of electricity, and he was just sitting there with like a lamp, and he would just pull the string and it would turn on and off, and so people were around. He's like, behold the power of electricity, and he'd turn on the lamp and light bulb would come on. Well, obviously no one was amazed, and he'd be like, come on, I debuted this in like 1946 and everyone shat their pants when they saw it. So it reminds me of like how pornography maybe in the future it's like, hey, before the internet, like how did you see naked people?
Well, I mean, if you're gonna do the math,
we had these pens, like you just turn these pens upside down.
I was thinking the next volume's gonna have a blonde wig. They're gonna have that costume. It's gonna be like,
versus the mask.
It's like the Marvel. It's like the Marvel Fortnite. You get a code each thing, but this time you get like a piece of article of the clothing.
Yeah.
Cosplay.
Well, Rhaegar in the chat had a go. Common America Funko Pops. They
Funko Pops.
Man.
I mean, customized would be kind of cool.
We so we attended an expo for merchandising, and just out of curiosity, it wasn't Common America, it was for something else. We were just curious. We were like, how much does it cost to license one of those? And it was expensive, but
oh really? Yeah.
they don't do that anymore. So now Funko got to the point where they reach out to you. So if they're interested, they'll come to you and ask for it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Those blew up too. Those got really big. It's like bigger than like, and they used to be bobbleheads, but now they don't even bobble. They just they're still.
Someone was explaining to me because again, because I came from merchandising, and so I'm interested in kind of how things work, because I don't collect anything really. Like I'm trying to minimize actually, so I'm always curious as to how things work.
You'll end up being a hoarder of comic books anyway.
Well, I think collecting as a hobby can be very rewarding. I mean, look at Breen. He has an encyclopedic knowledge of comics. It's obvious. It's obviously
he's also got a bad back too.
Yeah, from hauling all those long boxes and short boxes. But
upstairs, yeah.
One of the things that occurred to me was I thought, why did Funko Pops not go the way of the Beanie Baby in terms of their devaluation? And someone had explained it to me, and he said, a Beanie Baby, essentially, it's limited because, one, you have speculators, so they're not interested in it, they're just interested in flipping it. And two, unless you like animals, like if that's your thing, or stuffed animals, then it's already a rather niche market. So a lot of the implosion of it had to do with people buying a lot, speculating on them, etc. But a Funko Pop has a couple things going for it. One, you name anything you're interested in, sports, the military, cartoons, whatever. They have
nurses with masks on, doctors with masks on.
Well, and yeah, and they're all in scale, so they're displayable. So I'm particularly not fond of them. I don't like Funko Pops, but people like them because you can display them, and they're all kind of organized. The other thing too, typically they're cheap. Now, even the more expensive ones are expensive on the secondary market. But if you can get them in the store, they're typically priced at around $10, so they're affordable. So I think those two factors have a lot to do with why they've kind of stuck around for a while. But like I said, I am not really into them aesthetically. I don't really see anything about them. But it's like you do
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, I went through like a phase, my wife and I, where we collected like a whole bunch of different ones from different franchises. And then we got to a point, it's like, babe, we don't have enough shelf space in the house. Like, we've got a limit. Like, I have 6 or 7, and like that's all I can do. So
Yeah.
I think I got the Kid Flash Y West.
yeah, that's one of the ones I have.
The Hot Topic exclusive Batman Beyond one, because it's actually worth money. So if I ever want to sell it, it's like I'm not really that attached. I can just sell it and just make my money back. I got the giant Stay Puft Marshmallow guy.
Uh-huh.
You know.
Oh, what a shock! You have a Ghostbusters thing.
Yes, and I also have the Firehouse with Bankman with the marshmallow over them. I said,
Nice.
that was it. You know, other than that, it was like there's so many. Like they're like basically Funko realized like, you know what, we're gonna be like Marvel and DC. We're gonna give you 15 variants of one character.
Yeah, they do that with a bunch
So
of them,
you get one, and so it's like you don't have one where his hands slightly move to the right. It's like,
you
what?
don't have you have the Superman like this with his hands on his hips, but you don't have the ones where his arms are crossed. Yeah.
Because Common America, you could do the characters, but if they have alternate costumes, you know, then you got to do the alternate costumes for the Funko Pops. It's just
Yeah.
it just becomes a point where it's like it's a cash grab. It's like no offense, but I just don't like the Funko Pops like that. It's just in that sense, it's smart because there are people who will buy that stuff. If you want to make money off that, go for it, dude. The hustle, I respect that, but I mean, I personally can't spend $15 per little Funko Pop, you know.
Yeah.
And as soon as you take them out of the box, you turn on the $0.
That's pretty accurate. Yeah.
I only have one. It's a Stan Lee one that was signed by him.
Oh wow! Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I got the Speaking of Stanley, impulse buys, Walmart. I got the Stanley bobblehead with the Christmas hat on because it was
nice.
I've never seen it before. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. Typically nowadays I have stuff of sentimental value. Typically if people give me gifts, I keep those just because I remember who gave them to me and whatnot. And obviously we have the Common America stuff. Though I'll tell you, I actually don't own all of our Common America merchandise. Like the original standee, I do not have it. I sold the last one, so I don't have a lot of it myself. I know some people who probably have a much bigger collection than I do. I mean, think about the original art. Anytime we sell those or I sell them, I don't.
Does your wife collect anything like that?
No.
No, really? It's just your house is just empty except for furniture.
No, we have a lot of we have some curio pieces. We like rabbits, so typically we have themed stuff. So
30 rabbits.
Our plates have rabbits on them and small pieces of decor. But other than
pictures
that,
of you with the rabbits on the wall.
Okay,
family photo of them.
I don't even consider it a collection just because there's not much to collect. I have every Morph figure ever made, which is not much. It's like 6.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
I have a lot of merchandise from Splash Mountain because that was my favorite ride in Disney World, and obviously they're doing away with it because
they're turning it into a Princess and the Frog ride.
I told Engleton to go over there at night, just take a chainsaw, whatever you care to, just take a piece of the ride, you know?
Yeah.
I went on Splash Mountain once, and I was wearing my favorite ball cap at the time.
It got soaked.
It just blew off my head as we do that drive. So I lost it. So now I'm like forever angry at Splash Mountain.
Oh no, I'm sorry to hear that.
So I just want to quickly say, because I'm gonna close the tab.
All right.
53 days to go. Well, when 30 minutes, then it'll be midnight for here.
Yay!
Because me and you are in the same time zone. They're awesome.
Oh yeah. When you said Central, I was like, oh wow, that's a first.
I know, right?
I know. Yeah.
Zach, you're Central too, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm Central.
Yeah.
Okay,
it's like that's why it works so well for me and Zach. It's like I see a time, he's like, oh, you mean this time? My time? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, because whenever we try to schedule stuff, because we have like people on the East Coast and then people on the West Coast.
Yeah,
and you're trying to like get everyone together. Sometimes it's tricky, but
Pixel on the stream with me or E streams with me. It's like Larry, is 7 o'clock good? I'm like, that's 6 o'clock my time. It's like cutting it. It's worse if you're on the West Coast.
If you're like in California.
Ash is 2 hours behind us, so it's like so if I want to start at 7 o'clock, and same with Skip, they're over there. They're in California. It's like
I'm still at work.
It's 5 o'clock. I'm on my way home from work. I don't come home to 6:30. All right, I'll push it back to 8:30. Is it? Can you make that? Well, I'm just getting home. Can I? All right, we'll start at 9.
We'll start at midnight. How about that?
The problem
10
is that
o'clock.
I feel trapped in the middle because then I got the people on the East Coast like Brian's like, I'm going to bed. It's 10 o'clock.
Mhm.
Yeah, right.
I think he did already. I think he's
He
kind
did
of
go to
quiet over
bed.
there.
I haven't heard from Breen in a while. Let's let him sleep.
He's too busy writing me letters that say "eat hot death."
Yeah,
Oh.
probably. Probably.
No.
But there he is.
What?
So
I bored him.
like I said, you're getting say you are short on cash, $5, $5.
$5 for the digital.
Instead of getting that Big
Yeah.
Mac, get this.
Yeah.
It's this will last longer than the Big Mac.
I kind of have my eye on almost a gallon of gas.
Well, that's like a third of the gas you get for $5.
Oh
That's
my
true.
gosh. Yeah,
That's true.
gas here is about $4.35.
To breathe the
Yeah.
fume,
Same over here.
Breathe
It's
the breathe-
about 4:30.
if you want to breathe the fumes in, it's $5. Next week, $10.
Yeah.
Oh, it's bad.
But yeah, for $5 you can get this. For $10 you're getting a good deal hardcover. So
There was a guy who yesterday, no, it was the day before. Yeah, he was like, "Man, I love your work. I'm gonna back this when I can. I gotta cut some expenses out though." And I was like, "Budget first." And then
Yeah,
buy the book."
definitely.
Like, I mean this with all sincerity. We like it when people read our stuff. It's very flattering and very humbling. But
Mhm.
make sure you take care of your finances.
Yep.
Oh yeah,
first.
absolutely. I mean, you can't really read a book if your light bill has gone unpaid and your power goes
Yeah.
out.
And
Right,
the other
yeah.
cool thing about this, I mean, just Kickstarter in general, I'm not sure about Indiegogo, but like, you get the little button here, you can click on this and it gives you embed code. So if you have your own website, if you want to advertise or something like, even in Twitter, well, I don't know if Twitter allows you to embed stuff, not probably not Twitter, but
Probably
maybe
not.
like Facebook, maybe, or somewhere
Mhm.
else. Or people who have their own websites, for comic book websites. I know Helium does, It's like it's kind of cool.
I was shocked that the Helium was from Australia.
I know he's alive, right?
Well, he
That's great.
posted this thing on Twitter. He was like, "Good night, I just got my package for Kamen America," and I was like, "You're from Australia?" Like, oh my
It's like-
gosh,
I only know 3 Australians. That's about it.
they're
Well, from YouTube.
Australia. My gosh, there's a lot of comic book readers in Australia.
I know, but
Yeah.
the 3 that I've talked to on YouTube, there's only 3 of them I know. Otherwise, like Australia, it's like, is that made up?
I'm friends with one of them, but he's not Australian. I'm friends
Oh.
with Booster Kiwi, but he's from New Zealand.
Booster Kiwi, yeah. Well, isn't he from Is he from Australia or New
No,
Zealand?
no, he's from New Zealand.
He's
Yeah, that's what I thought, 'cause
New
he's a
Zealand, but
Kiwi.
I thought he has ties to Australia.
He might. They're just a.
Maybe.
They're just a.
But do me a
stone's
favor,
throw
anybody who comes across Booster, just say, "Oh, I heard you're Australian."
Nah,
I'm sure they love that. Yeah.
No, I've talked to Booster before on
Oh,
Chester
okay.
Busby's, before, and like he says, like, I'm not Australian. Like, well, you sound Australian. I'm New Zealand. He's like, yeah. If you go over to Australia, that's where the prison state is. That's our prison.
Yeah. That's
It's like,
That's accurate.
but yeah, pretty cool. Chester Busby, check out that channel too. That he's still going. I haven't watched that in a while, but he's still going.
I haven't checked
Ron
out.
Cornered
Busby's
still
channel.
going. Yeah, because it's been COVID. I just kind of stopped watching YouTube a lot. I just started, reading all my back issues I have. I have a bunch of back issues upstairs. I was just going through them, and I've been getting rid of the ones that I just don't care to have anymore. So I have money to buy the new ones, or not new, but like newish ones,
Mhm.
like from like the 80s and the early 90s, because I still like 90s books,
Yeah.
But yeah, 50. You got 52 days to go. It says 53, but half an hour is be 52 days. So, and like I said, it's $10 for a hardcover. You're going to 72 pages. I mean, if you like the work, I don't care if you could hate Tim, but if you like the book, just buy the book, man. Because the book,
Yeah.
I guarantee you're gonna enjoy the story.
Absolutely.
And if not, I'll give you $10.
How about if we hate you and like the book?
Well,
You can hate.
I just want to point out, because like I said, like Tim brought up a good point in many of his videos. It's like, you should buy the book because you enjoy the story. You're enjoying the art. You're enjoying everything that's on it. You shouldn't be because you like the person who's writing it. It doesn't help, it does help though that if you like the person who's writing it and you actually like the quality stuff. I mean, you should never feel you're pressured into buying something because because you're friends with that person.
Yeah, and that's the thing is that we also never look at our backers ever. That goes all to fulfillment because
they're all me. This
Well, I had noticed that in some of the early days in crowdfunding, what people would do is like I would back something and they'd be like, "Yo, Tim, thanks for backing my book," and I always felt like I didn't want you to put that out there. Like, geez, like that's no one's business except like my own in terms of what I buy. And,
it almost feels like because then you run into it's like, well, Tim, why didn't you back mine?
Yeah,
that crap. It's like peer pressure.
Well, and then the other thing too is that, and this one I'm being very serious about. There was a person who had reached out to us about a week ago, and they said like, "Oh, I have like these times are tough, and it's because of the recession." Now, keep in mind, I've never talked to this person ever. Like, I've never interacted with them. And they said, "I want to back your book, but I can't. Can you please? Like, I hope you forgive me, and I'm gonna get it the next time, or I'll get it when it's on the store." And I felt bad because I was like, I don't know what is it. If I've ever done anything in my personal life or on streams to make it seem like I care about that type of thing, or if there's any type of devotion that is head towards us that makes it so that you feel obligated to tell me, but it's like, that is your business and you can retain that privacy because I will never look at the backer listing and see who backed it. I don't even know if my parents read my books. I don't even know if my best friends read my books. No. I don't care. And I don't ask.
Your parents hate your book. They don't.
So I have a funny story about that. I am pretty sure my parents don't read them because I have a doctorate degree, and they're just like, oh, Tim, you publish comic. How come you not publish medical textbook? It's like
I did not know that you actually have. This is like a hobby for you. This is your day job.
Yeah. My vocation is audiology. I have a doctorate degree in audiology.
When I learned that, I was like, oh, it makes sense. Asian doctor, see, artist. It all fits the stereotype, right?
So now, now I'm like,
but you said you're not good at math, though.
They're like, yeah, medical degree. I was like, technically, it's an audiology degree, but it is still a doctorate. And they're like, don't matter, all same thing. You still doctor. How can you not make textbook?
That was funny. You made that joke. Correct. That joke is like, it's like, yeah, I'm the only Asian that doesn't do math.
I can't do math. I'm awful at it. Well, some people are like, "How do you manage your campaigns?" And I say Excel spreadsheets. Like, it's just arithmetic. Like, how much it costs to do this.
My wife does
it
my
taxes.
For me. It's like...
my my wife does not do our taxes. You have an accountant to do that.
Right.
Nice.
You hire a total stranger to do your account, do all your financials, right? That's always good.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I said like it's interesting to see as I learn more about you, because I don't go on YouTube. I don't delve in to see what does what. Same with the comic book writers as far as Marvel and DC. I don't know every book they've done. Mm-hmm. So it's interesting when I find out stuff like that. So I was like, because I know you got a Comic-Con stuff, but I never expected to see it on YouTube, aired. Because it's not a normal thing, as far as I would see for indie people in here going to Comic-Cons and and doing panels and then having someone upload it on YouTube to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Because it doesn't seem normal to me. It's usually like panels are for like who's on the new celebrity for CW or movies coming on Warner Brothers, because they're the big draws. It's like, so when I come to comic book artists, I think of like Jim Shooter and MegaCon.
I think part of it was a fluke. I've done.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I've done.
Were you the wrong Asian? Did they?
I've done a couple of panels at conventions, but typically what ends up happening is that Texas and Arkansas, a lot of the conventions know who I am because we do mostly our circuit in the South.
Yeah.
And so the one that I just did, I think the video that you saw, it was actually Northwest Arkansas. So they just knew. They were like, oh.
Yeah, I just know that as I just came across it. I figured like, you know what? I've had this guy on the channel. I've only met him a couple times through Angle Team, but I don't really know much about his work. So it's like, I felt pressured. So I searched you on YouTube and like Tim Lim comic book.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And then it's like, oh, there's one from this year.
Don't feel pressured. The reality is that.
I know.
Yeah.
But like I said, like, you're pretty much our first formal interview we've done on this
Oh,
channel.
thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
We
I'm
mainly just
honored.
make fun of like Mark Wade and everyone else, read
Well,
books.
now that actually, I do have an interesting question. I don't know if you're about to like wrap things up.
No,
or
no,
anything.
yeah, keep on going.
Yeah, no, I was gonna ask. You mentioned you had something signed by Stan Lee, or I was like, is there any comic book creator, like either independent or big too? Is there anyone that you like really admired, or that you really kind of like sought to learn stuff from, or like learn off of their work when you were like starting to get into making comics?
Yes. So the good thing is that I've met this person, and that was a highlight of just life in general. But a person whose work I study pretty religiously is Joe Madureira or Joe Madeira. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I study his work very religiously. I pretty much own all of his art in terms of art books, just anything printed. I don't own an original by him, but I have a lot of it because in the 90s, I loved his style. And he is so fluid in terms of his blend of East and West that it's really hard to pinpoint like where one begins and where one ends. But he's just gotten better with time. Like he's just refined it. He's late on everything. Like he's late on Battle Chasers, and he's too busy playing video games as opposed to like working on his title. But he handed off his comic book reins to this guy I follow on Instagram, who's actually pretty good. But I love it because very good knowledge of line weight, very good knowledge of proportions. He's able to exaggerate the human form in a way that even the Japanese do not. So he's actually doing something new as far as like being a Westerner and playing with that concept a little bit more. But I met him at a comic convention in 2015. Nice guy, super nice. I actually drew a Morph card because the reason I like Morph is my introduction to the X-Men was kind of like my introduction to Spider-Man. I learned about X-Men through Age of Apocalypse because again, fresh start. It's a world where Apocalypse took over and the mutants are there. And in my opinion, it should have never ended. They should have just kept on going with that because it's a great scenario. It's like it's just nothing but mutants fighting mutants in this like wasteland. But in that comic, in Astonishing X-Men, they had resurrected Morph, who used to be Changeling, who died when he was fighting. I think he was a villain who was part of like Factor 3. He died when he was impersonating Charles Xavier. They brought him back into cartoon. He died in the first episode. But I always liked him because I was like, oh, there's a shapeshifter. And before I even read comics, before I knew there was a Mystique or Beast Boy, he was the guy that I knew. And I was like, oh, this guy's funny. He cracks jokes. And oh, there he is. He gets wasted by a Sentinel. And when I was reading Astonishing X-Men, Joe Madureira was the main artist for that run. And I love that character of Morph because he's a shapeshifter. He's goofy. I think it was Scott Lobdell who wrote it, and the humor was on point. But I got a trading card of Morph signed by Joe Madureira, and took some photos and stuff.
Poor Morph.
Nice.
Poor Morph, yeah.
So that's actually what got me in the comic books. Before that was actually I started off with the cartoons. I was born '85, so I mean I was X-Men cartoons. I grew up
you
with
and
that.
we're almost the same age.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I remember first watching the X-Men animated series, and Morph just gets wasted like right at the beginning.
He
I was
gets
like,
totally wasted.
that's why I've never heard of this guy before.
Mr. England, want to say something?
Yeah, let's say Eglantine just DM'd me. He wanted me to thank you for not mentioning the time at that convention when he took his Kamen America up to Ron Lim's booth to sign.
Is he here? Does he want to jump on?
No,
he's just messing with
I
me.
thought he might have gone to bed.
He was here because he'd be telling me to go.
You liked it how
myself.
he perked up. He's like Engletine's like, oh, thank God I could talk to him instead of these guys.
So I was listening to a stream that he did, and he whatchamacallit, he was like, there was one time that Tim insulted me. He told me I had hair growing out of my ear, and I was like, I didn't know he was insulted by that. I thought we were just like talking to each other, but I'm like, I look at ears like that's just my thing, and I'm like, oh, you have ears.
I'm glad my ears are covered up.
hey, have you seen the top of his head? He should have taken the win.
That's true.
He could cut that ear hair and just paste it.
There you go. Yeah, recycle it. Yeah.
That's the way we joke with Pixel. It's like, oh, did you just because he did that one time for a stream on the Extreme Movie Show. Pixel came on, and like he took like doll hair and glued it to his nose here. But when we're doing a review for some movie, me and Rob were laughing because he kept getting the hair in his mouth. So it's ever since then, when I see Pixel has like a little mustache going, I was like, oh, did you glue more doll hair on? Because he's got such a high voice. So I always tease him with that.
He should just take one curly strand and put it on the top of his head, Charlie Brown style.
We do have a question here for you, Tim.
Okay.
Who was your first magic user in comics? Your favorite? I guess your first favorite, or
Like person who uses magic.
the question says, who was your first magic user?
Who was my first magic user? It was definitely Doctor Strange because he had popped up as a guest character in Spider-Man. So that's the first time I think I was introduced to that type of character in comics, at least. Obviously, when I was a kid, I watched like the Hobbit movie. So obviously, there's like Gandalf in there and stuff. But I think we might have talked about it with Dalton before. I'm not really big into magic users like in comics. It's just not a thing.
Every
for
time
me.
I see Dalton, he asks me.
Yeah.
No.
Dalton, I DM'd you the link over on Twitter.
I just wanted to get the book out, talk about the book first, then before
Yeah.
we start going like into in-depth questions like that.
Yeah.
But I guess right now, I mean, I don't want to keep you guys up for a long time. We've been going for 2 hours and 30 minutes now.
And I still gotta work. I gotta finish a page.
I'm surprised you didn't do it now.
No, I can't multitask. Like it's hard for me.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, it's really difficult. I'll tell you, like, I don't mind like people watching over my shoulder when I draw, but it's tough when people talk to me when I draw. I can't walk and chew gum at the same time.
Gotcha.
I just feel like you get like marking your ears. Draw this next.
Yeah.
Did you need ideas?
Yeah.
Hello, Dalton.
Stop, please.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey,
How goes it, everyone?
Good. How are you?
It goes. It's going pretty well.
Just shilling for Tim.
Oh, always a good use of your time. Tim and I get along like gangbusters every time we talk, and we need to talk more, but he's always fucking busy about things.
I am busy. I do show up, and normally whenever it's scheduled, I can show up. Eglantine, honestly, I think he's busy too because he knows I'm pretty free. But there was one time it was
He just doesn't like you. That's all.
between the first
bull crap. He was on me and Brainstormer's stream before he was on this show. So yeah.
Before, I think it was between the first and second time I had met Eglantine. We were in Disney World, and I was like, "Yo, we're here! Like, do you want to meet up?" And he never got back to me. The man's schedule is, I don't know. He might be like Superman, you know. He's off fighting crime or whatever. Doesn't have time. But
everybody's busy. Everybody's always busy. But by the way, while I'm here, first of all, thank you for putting that one-off joke character in Volume 2 of Kamen America. That made my day. And then I was telling my mom about it because I don't think she understands why I spend so much time in my room doing stuff on the internet. So like one day when she was kind of annoyed that I'd spend so much time on the internet, I'm like, a friend of mine is actually a comic writer and artist because you and Mark, and they put me in a comic as a one-off joke character, and she just lit up about it, and I was like, oh, that's cool.
I'll tell you something even better. The joke worked because we were able to do 3 jokes in one, because it's a reference to an Ultraman character, it's a reference to Timothy Dalton, and it's a reference to you because of the suit.
Yeah.
So
right.
I was like, oh yay! Like this triple whammy.
I mentioned in chat like half an hour ago. I think that character would be a really interesting character to bring on as like a supernatural detective. I mentioned in chat, in chat, like
I knew there was a reason you wanted on.
Oh my god.
I just like talking to Tim whenever we get a chance to, because he's always busy and we don't get a chance to talk quite as often. But like I was saying, like a supernatural detective, like think Abe Sapien meets Damien Darkblood, but in like the style of Looney Tunes. That would be how I would go that character. But
the problem is he's huge.
Naomi Comics, I'm surprised you didn't know who I was this whole entire time. Yeah, it's real Dr. Beckman. And he wants to thank you, Tim, for putting him in the book as well.
Ed Brewer in the chat says, I learned something about everyone during this interview except Tim. Oh man, what do you want to know? Like, geez, I'm a really boring person in real life.
If you want to know who Tim is, he's like that guy from James Bond. He's just got the rabbit he pets.
Yes.
Oh.
Blofeld.
Blofeld.
Blofeld, yeah, that's the name.
Field, yeah.
Blofeld.
Guys, I'm gonna jump off. It's almost 1 here, and I
Oh,
have to work in the
man.
morning.
Yeah.
Tim, it was nice chatting with you.
It was the same thing with you too, Breen. I like I said, it's an honor. I enjoy being able to tune into any channel and see you there. It's a very welcome sight and sound.
I did get a chuckle that one night when you said, "Yeah, I saw him on something. That I looked down on my feed and it was wall to wall you."
Yeah. I was going through my playlist because I have my YouTube playlist randomized where it'll just pick things for me. And sometimes once I start in stream, so if it's like Englentine or Thinking Critical, it'll just start playing things that it thinks I might like. And I remember like it was some, for lack of a better word, there were some boring topics, and it was like Eric Breen, and I was just like, no, fast forward, Eric Breen. And I was like, how is this guy like bilocating? Like, is he in different places like at one time? Like, what's
Eric is on everything all the time forever. It's
We're gonna start calling him Omni.
I've even been on the Brainstormer once. So
yeah. You've been on ours. And that was a really great episode too, because we were reacting to the Daniel Kibblesmith New Warriors trailer, which is some grade A horribleness, and it was very fun dissecting the shit out of it philosophically, as I want to.
They should have released it, but I released the Kibblesmith cut. Anyway, gentlemen, have a great rest of the stream, and I'll see you guys soon. Take care.
Goodbye, Breen, and leave with a boot to the head for that comment.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how long you get going soon. I don't know how long you want to stay on. I mean, it's up to
10,
you. I mean, it doesn't.
10 more minutes. I can do some work, and then maybe
we usually
think about going to sleep at like, I don't know, 2 in the morning.
Dude, we usually only stick around for like, for an hour the most, because watchback, because we usually don't do the long huge live streams. We're not. This isn't Englentine live.
Oh, okay.
Well, we do the hour live streams, but then we do also we have the Englentine, the 4-hour goodbye.
The 4-hour goodbye. Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Where we just go from topic to topic, but yeah. No, I'm sorry, I cut you off.
Do you have any more questions for Zach?
Not on my piece of paper.
Do you have more questions than you had? Your top 5?
My top 5.
Because usually we do our top 5 books in here. Because he only has like I only have 3 books. I'm not pulling a lot of books.
I cut down my comic book intake so much. Just like I'm supposed to have 5. I'm like, I have 3, dude. I'm pulling 3 books.
This was a rough week for me too, as well. It comes to that, but
like I read more manga. Like I'm reading more One Piece and Fire Force and Spy Family than anything Western, except for like a handful of stuff.
Yes. Have you ever read Magi? It's sort of based on the Arabian Nights lore.
I've heard of it.
Familiar with it.
I've heard of it. It has an anime, I believe, doesn't it?
It does, and it also it had a prequel series in the manga that also was a prequel spin-off for the anime as well. Unfortunately, they only did 1 season of it. And the base premise is the character of Sinbad is like a living Gary Stu for plot convenient reasons, and he has 7 jinn, and the series is supposed to revolve around the adventures that led to him having 7 jinn, and we only ended up getting 3 in the anime, and I'm like, where is Legend of Sinbad season 2? I need to know what the rest of those jinn were doing. What the hell?
I've heard of it. I'll have to give it a try at some point. Because like I read, like I said, I've probably got like 7 or 8 different manga or anime that I'm watching / reading at any time. So yeah,
I mean, I'm sure you've already been well acquainted with Death Note, so I'm not even gonna geek out about Death Note for the 500th
my sister got
time.
me into that one. Yeah, my sister dove head
We
first
do have
into
another
Death Note.
question from Rania.
Oh.
If someone wanted to introduce a new reader to your universe, which book would you recommend they start with, and why?
So it depends on taste. Black Ops, even though it has like a silly premise, it's actually the serious book, which is kind of
I
ironic.
figured as much. That's
yeah.
Psycho Vet comments.
Yeah, because it's a military action book, but the essential story is that it's about a rabbit that is smarter than average, so it's highly intelligent. It can be trained. It's immortal. It can actually adapt itself using like optic camo so it's very good for those type of stealth situations because they can go places and not be considered a threat. But I mean, he'll kill you. He knows how to fight with a knife and pull grenade pins and stuff like that. And that one is a nice like action-paced comic, and I actually think that that's a pretty good comic for boys, simply because, yes, later on we introduce his handler Penelope, but she doesn't appear until volume 3. So at least for the first 2 volumes, it's pretty much just animals just going around killing people. But all that book is straight PG. I mean, there's no swearing. The violence is very, very minimal. I don't even.
You
think
can take it to church.
Yeah, you can take it to church.
And always with the rabbits, because Tim will never stop using his rabbits.
That's true. And so it's cute. It's a nice little cute book. Lots of action in it. It's PG. There's some adult themes in terms of like dealing with things like death, and so you want to make sure that your kid is at least mature enough to understand.
Just glad it's not rats.
Yeah. So I would say, like, if they're between maybe the ages of 8 and 10, I think that's appropriate. That's about the same time I started reading G.I. Joe. Kamen America has more universal appeal, but it might be a harder sell because people see the cover and they're like, "What is this? Is it one of those naughty comic books?"
I was gonna say it's like I would say it's probably 16 and up for age group, as far as not because there's adult themes in there. It's because the fact that
it's
cheesecakey. Yeah, it's cheesecakey.
Yeah, it's cheesecakey.
I mean, it's no worse than your average shonen though. Like, if you'd let your kid watch like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure or Dragon Ball or something like that, then
someone who compared it earlier in the chat said it's like Sailor Moon.
Yeah, it's like Sailor Moon.
Yeah,
so I would say at the low end, probably 12 or 13. That's typically like looking at our demographics and looking at what people have bought at conventions. 13 is a pretty good age. As far as like our female readership is concerned, there's no sex in there. There's no cursing at all. Believe it or not, Mark actually puts curse words into the script. Like, he'll put damn and shit.
But then he does a star
No, I take it out.
Oh, you take it out?
Yeah, I either put an asterisk or I take it out completely because I'm like, no. I want it so that a parent can go through and just know.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So I wonder if he does purposely just does a whole paragraph that's just swear words just to make you mad.
You guys should start releasing like uncensored versions.
Okay, so here's what I should do.
Oh, the Pellegrini.
No. You brought up a good idea. So here's what I'm gonna do. Next campaign, it's like, you can buy Kamen America Volume 6, the uncensored version. Yeah. And they're like, I am buying this. And then they buy it, and it's just like, instead of the word crap, I put shit. And they're like, wait, what? I thought this was the uncensored version.
Wait, I thought this was regs.
This isn't what I thought.
Yeah.
This is
like,
regs?
what is it? I was like, it's the uncensored version. I actually put the curse words back in. It's like,
I just think it's funny with regs.
Damn. It's like, yeah, that's the worst curse
Now,
word.
did you know Brian, when he was doing regs, before he started putting the rabbits on the censored version?
No, we did, but if I'm not mistaken, I think his putting the rabbits over the naughty bits that actually preceded Black Ops. So,
okay,
yeah, rabbits being used as a like censor thing goes back quite a few years.
Yeah,
well, I've seen.
It's not even something that originated in comics. It's something that originated in old cartoons.
Yeah, so he put those things up there, and the funny thing is that. So when I was coming up with our logo, our insignia, I had to make sure it looked distinctly different from his, because his rabbit logo is pretty good. I like it.
I know.
Yeah.
So no, he came up with that little rabbit thing first, but the funny thing is that basically Regina's mascot is like the unicorn. I mean, that's like the onesie
she has like that onesie. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So now full credit to him. He came up with at least that portion first. So I had to make sure that ours looked.
I'm kind of sad he went away from the zombie thing though. I was like, that's like. Because at the point where there's really no zombie books in right now, other than
the zombie trend is dead.
It's not dead.
Yeah,
it's not dead.
Well, there's zombies. They can't
TV
be dead.
show
They
Walking Dead is dead. But as far as the comic books, if Walking Dead put out an issue right now,
I was mostly making the obvious pun, but
I know.
I guess nobody got it.
No, but like I said, like I was because I said he was gonna start switching it up. And it's like, okay, I was like, I'm just wondering if he'd ever would go back to that, but I don't think he will. It's something he doesn't want to do. He wants to do more stuff, instead of being tied down to one thing.
Well, the problem with the zombie genre is everyone is doing some kind of riff off of the Romero zombies. I actually wouldn't mind seeing zombies that were actually like resurrected by a necromancy instead of the like Romero virus or nuke. zombies.
Evil Dead type
So
of zombies.
this is what we need then: the Black Hopping Dead.
That's a good one.
I know.
Now, in all fairness to Brian, though, I am actually not a fan of the zombie genre, but
Not everybody is.
No, but as he and I have talked about, I mean, he had already told me some years ago. He's like, Rags was not meant to be a zombie book. Like, it was actually almost like a red herring that was pretty much good through like his first initial first story in it. And
but people liked it, so.
Oh yeah, people liked it. That he definitely has his own following for sure.
I thought it was always funny because he does that. He's like, yeah, you know his Rags. Oh, that mean the smut book. It's like, and then here's Rags teaming up with you guys did a Black Ops thing, or Common America. Did you guys do a crossover?
Yeah, so there is a crossover out right now. I think it's actually in the pages of Rags number 8. I think that's their that's their canonical numbering, but it is a team up. And spoiler alert, yeah, there is a team up at the end.
Yeah, that was when I was like, you went from wholesome to like the other side of the spectrum. I was like, dang.
So we had some input into it. He showed us the script, and the only thing we edited were our own characters. So we had to make sure that our characters did not do anything that was antithetical to how they would behave or how we would write
actually them. Be loyal to your characters rather than just changing them for what the plot needs.
Why is
writers?
Why is Common America naked?
Well, I think so. I don't. How do I describe it? So let's say people in his universe curse. Whenever they're with Penelope is not going to curse.
Yeah.
Like that's just so that our readers, when they see that, they're not going to think that we signed off on the character. We signed off on the project. Like it's Brian's project.
Because people read that first, going into thinking that their character is exactly like they're in that book.
Yes.
So
exactly.
you want them not to be swearing.
Right, and that's the same thing we did recently. With Ben Dunn with Antarctic Press. He's working on a team up between Tomorrow Girl and Common America. And our only stipulation was we have to read your script and we have to make sure that Common America, her character, is consistent. And we had to actually edit quite a lot out of that one because there was a scene where they're like drinking at a bar. And I was like, Carly doesn't drink. She'll probably drink like coffee or water or soda, but she's not gonna drink alcohol. So
right.
Ooh, you really taste it. It's like Kool-Aid. She knocked on the floor. She knocked out.
A virgin White Russian. It's literally just milk.
Literally, I can see that.
Shirley Temple.
I'm about to say she could get what I drink all the time, which is Shirley Temple.
I like Shirley Temples.
The way Carly
virgin rum and Coke is literally just Coke.
Yeah, virgin rum and Coke.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
I had the only thing I drink is I might have Kahlua because I like coffee, and Kalua's alcohol content isn't that great, but which is ironic because I'm Catholic and people are like, oh, you must drink, and I was like, no, I actually don't drink.
Yeah, it'd be funny because if you actually had Carly drinking or something, she'd probably be knocked out within the first sip or two. It's like,
yeah, and that's the funny thing is like, is that even a concept we're going to explore? And in my mind, it's like, I don't know because I don't even think she drinks. Like
it doesn't work for the character, so why would we?
Yeah, and she's not
force it in there.
You know, so the danger the thing that we want to avoid is like, oh, you also don't want her to be like the basic white girl. So it's like wearing Ugg boots, drinking Starbucks in the winter, like nothing like that. So it's like,
but that's the problem with 90% of the writers working today is they will literally use art as a means to an end rather than an end in itself. And it's like, we don't care about the in-universe logic as long as the meta-narrative works, right? And it's like, no, that's literally the exact opposite of what you should do. Screw the meta-narrative, make the characters and the internal logic consistent, and
if she can
follow from that. If they do
if Carly's competing against somebody else for her love interest, it's like the love interest is going to be the one who's like the vulgar, the one who might does things he's more, and like I said, like I bring up Misha because Misha's a very good tomboy, and like and like I could see her, maybe she drank a beer and just like passed out, and then she just looks at Carly, it's like, you're just a kid.
Yeah. Well, and then that's the other thing too, is like there's some things that we know about the characters that we don't think we'll ever put into the books, but it will reflect itself in how they manifest. Like for example, we know what like Misha's love life is like. We're not going to put that in the book, but we know like her history just in the back of our heads, just so that when she's talking to someone, she has to come across as like someone with experience.
even if the readers will never know, it's important that the writers actually know what's going on.
Correct.
So.
they have to exist in our head as real people. And
Yeah.
the one thing we want to avoid is they cannot come across as being just cookie cutter based on other things. They have to be eccentric enough that they have personality quirks.
They have to be three-dimensional. And
yes, even though
characters
sometimes
that could actually exist somewhere in some hypothetical universe.
even though sometimes it might be kind of weird. Like I'll give you an example. It's like we needed some fake ads for like her fashion design company. So I was hiring some artists to do some. I was like, okay, there's a weird request, but don't draw her in her superhero costume. Draw her wearing just something like a coat.
I think I remember maybe seeing that on social media.
Yeah. And so I'm sitting on like a treasure trove of them, and like one of them is like she's wearing like a negligee, and Mark was like, "Whoa, like what is that?" And I'm like, "Well, it's still tasteful because you're not seeing anything." But the thing is, like, at some point, she sells fashion. Like, that's fashionable. It works in the universe. It's tasteful. Like, it's, nothing too lewd.
Trying to think what the girl's name, the one that's the rich one, the blonde one.
Sylvia.
Yeah,
Sylvia should probably get the idea from the book that Sylvia gave to her.
Yeah,
French.
Hot couture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice name.
Yeah, and the same thing with her. Sylvia was a runway model, at least in her late teens. So, I mean, obviously we have to reflect kind of that and keep it realistic. Yeah.
But I could see Misha again, or just later on, like she's tough as nails, and then all of a sudden, so you put a rubber, she's like, it's just like totally just lights up.
Well, in the crossover from last year, it's implied that she does like USAGI, but she doesn't fawn over him. Like she treats him just as like, I don't know, a friend or something. Whereas like Kimiko is gonna be the one who's gonna.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, Kimiko is like they just like animals I love, it's so fluffy.
Right.
Like so it's just funny to see like a kink in her armor where she's a tough girl, and then you see like a side of her. It's like, and then you see Carly's like, I saw that. It's like.
Yeah, and Mark has done a lot of videos in terms of like his writing process and some ideas, and he calls it for character development. He refers to it as like the Peanuts principle. Yeah. And it's this idea of if you look at Peanuts, the reason why the characters are so intriguing and engaging is because, let's say Charlie Brown likes Peppermint Patty and Peppermint Patty likes Charlie Brown. But let's say Charlie Brown likes, I don't know, Marcy, or not Marcy, that's the wrong example. Let's say Franklin. That's also the wrong example. He's a black character, but let's pick on him. So let's say Charlie Brown likes Franklin. Well, Peppermint Patty might not like Franklin. And the idea is that just because there are two people who might
What kind of
be
version
friends,
of the Peanuts you talking about here?
there's no transitive property. That just because two people are friends doesn't mean that the same interaction
doesn't mean that their friend groups are automatically merged together because reasons.
Yeah. Right, because reasons, for one reason or another. And this is displayed in one of the best Family Guy episodes. It's the one where it turns out Quagmire hates Brian, and it's the one where like Brian is like, I don't get it. Something's going wrong. Why is Quagmire mad at me? And so like before the first commercial break, Quagmire is like, you're a sanctimonious a-hole. Like, you drive a Prius around and you're always talking about politics and stuff.
Yeah,
like,
the famous speech of Quagmire's where he basically just dresses down Brian to his face.
And what's funny about that is because it's the first time in the episode where, in a way, they actually address something that, like, viewers have noticed, which is, has anyone noticed how Brian's insufferable? Like, he's just this kind of like mouthpiece for the writing staff. But then the writing staff pulled one on the audience by being like, no, because we're gonna write Quagmire as being basically you guys. Like, he doesn't like.
Yeah, he's gonna be your mouthpiece.
I just saw the grossest clip with Quagmire. He's getting with his girl, and he's like, and she says, "Giggity." He's like, wait. He's like, here, put this kind of swab in your mouth. And he puts in the DNA, says like, confirmed, like related. He's like, but then he's like, eh.
Yeah.
Oh no, that's like, what was I was watching one show. It wasn't Family Guy. It's another show where it's like this guy's dancing on this girl in a club, and then they find out they're cousins. He's like, oh! Yeah, it's like no. But I was like, he's human Quagmire. But
it just scares me that there's a female Quagmire out there somewhere.
Or his kids.
Amber Heard, cough.
Oh yeah. Well, what was the one where he's like in a school and he's like going to pick up? I think he's going to like.
Oh no.
Pick up Mega, and like every classroom he goes into, there's the kid that looks like him.
Looks just like him. Yeah.
Giggity, giggity.
Oh
Giggity, giggity.
boy.
Oh,
Giggity,
but-
giggity, goo.
so does anybody have any questions for Tim? Like legit questions, not trolling questions.
I have one, but it's gonna have to be after the stream.
Anybody but
because
Dalton?
something-
Anybody but Dalton.
Yeah. Screw you too, Bankman.
Oh!
I don't know why, but when I heard Dalton, what popped in my head was Michael Dalton. I was like, oh, you mean the singer from like the 90s? It's like, no, that's Michael Bolton.
Michael
Stupid.
Bolton, yes.
Michael Bolton.
I was gonna be like, hey, sing me the ballad of Captain Jack Sparrow. I love that.
Yeah, I love that video. I listened to that after I saw that on SNL. I found it on Spotify, and I listened to that like every day for like a week. I love that song so much.
It's funny. It's funny you mentioned music because just for the sake of putting more content on my channel, I started doing song covers just because I have to. When I do videos, I have to do them stream of consciousness because I can't function with a script.
Yeah.
But because I also have severe regular insomnia, my brain just sometimes doesn't want to make videos. So I was like, you know what? Instead of leaving my channel like empty for months on end, I'm just gonna start doing song covers when I feel the need to make content.
All right.
It's a good hobby to have. People have been trying to get me to do TikTok, and again, it's that whole thing. Where
No,
it's
No,
like,
and
I'm like,
that's
I'm like
no.
not creative. I don't know.
for
what
the
to
love
do.
of freaking God, don't do TikTok.
But that's where all the hip kids are, Dalton.
Puppet
Yes,
Team.
and that's exactly why you should be there, because
Hey,
all of the
kids.
hip kids in the universe probably have less of an IQ collectively than all four of us sitting here.
Hey,
Puppet Teen
kid.
has a
It's like
TikTok.
that- It's like that.
Does he really?
Steve
Yes.
Buscemi thing.
Oh no.
Puppet Teen has his own TikTok, and I just I rolled my eyes at that, and then Zach's like, I'm playing Fortnite, and I'm like, oh
Yeah, I did get into Fortnite.
no.
You do the.
And then Dalton said he loves Peter
Yeah.
Hoot, and I was just like,
Bankman, boot to the head.
Okay, so here's a question from Maranya real quick, I guess,
Okay.
before we get ready to sign off. Where did you
Alright.
come up with the ideas for your franchises besides Mark helping you?
Oh, we're really stupid.
Like, what if a rabbit was in the army?
Okay, so the way we came up with our ideas, I'll run through it real quick without getting
G.I.
too
Rabbit.
verbose here. So what happened was, our first comic was a Trump comic, and that was essentially because we did the Thump book. I did not want to work in comics at all. It was not a dream or anything like that. The most I'd ever done was comic covers, and I was very content doing those. But we did the Thump book, and people liked it. And then I found out, I was like, actually, I don't mind the sequential stuff. Like, that's actually kind of fun. And so Antarctic Press was basically like, we like your stuff. We had a mutual friend, and they said, we like your stuff. You ever think about making like a full book? And I said, not really. And they said, if you make one, we're pretty much going to publish it. Like, we want to see what you can do. So I went back to Mark and I said, well, here's what happened. I was watching My Hero Academia, and the thought occurred to me because I saw All Might, and I was like, this guy acts like Donald Trump. And I said, has anyone ever like came up with the name Wall Might? So I went on Google and I was like, Wall Might. I was like, no one has taken this idea. Like, this anime has been out here for a year and no one's like put this together that he acts like Donald Trump.
Behold the weaponization of obvious ideas that
Yeah,
are so
and it was
obvious other people haven't.
That's exactly
used
what
them
it
yet.
was. I distinctly remember it was late at night. I was watching My Hero Academia. It had already been like popular for like a year, and I was like, oh. So I went to Mark and I said, what if we do this parody? Because that's the only thing we're good at. We're only good at we like humor. You know, we like to laugh. Mark has a volumic knowledge of The Simpsons, so that's all we got in a minute. So we decided. I said, let's make a comic, a parody. Antarctic Press says they will put it out, and they're the ones doing the Trump comics right now. Let's do one called My Hero Magademia, and it's Wall Might. That's the main character. So we did it, and it was a hit. I mean, honestly, no one was doing Trump books. Everyone's too scared to do it. We were like, whatever. It's we can make money off of it. We're not.
Well,
scared
if
to make
nobody
money off
else
this
wants to do the obvious thing, then I
yeah,
Right,
no one else
yeah.
wanted to do it. They're all scared. They're like,
there's
we
a
don't
lot
wanna
of
do Trump
parody
books.
comics like that, you know. But yeah, because Trump was a really big issue. So
It was a big issue, and
Yeah.
we were just like, look, I mean, you can see it as a political thing if you want. The reality is that it's funny. I mean, it's a funny parody.
It is. Oh yeah, it's.
I
We
have a
did it.
question.
Well, hold
Go
on.
ahead.
Let
Go
me
ahead.
spin
Continue,
off of
yeah.
that. So, we did it, and then basically it's like, you have anything else? And I said, well, at some point, it's not just the political parodies that we want to do. We want to do some other things too. So our next book was Black Ops, and it was because we had thought about taking the rabbit that showed up in the book, because like it's actually Mike Pence's rabbit. He owned a rabbit, and we said, hey, maybe we can do something with that character. And I just thought let's not make a political book. Let's do one so people can know that we can tell a serious story, and that's how Black Ops came about. And then our sequel, Walmite, so My Hero Academia Part 2, we introduced this character named Warhen, who was an obvious parody of Captain Marvel. But that was the most retweeted thing I got that year. Like, people went nuts. They were like, this character looks so cool. Who is it? And I'm just like, shit, it's just a parody character. Like, we're not gonna do anything with it.
But if this is what people want, then that's what people want. And so be it.
And I had to pause, and it gave me some thought, because at the time I was watching a lot of anime where girls were the focal character, and I had never done that before. I typically like watching stuff with a lot of guys in it, but I was like, man, this girls anime is really good, because the characters are so well written and they're so cute that it's like they're able to kind of express femininity while not being quote unquote feminist. They're able to just exist as characters. And I said, Mark, I know it'll be new for you and new for me. What do you think about having a spin-off, the superhero title, and we will use the Warhen character? And he said, okay, fine, but we have to come up with a name. And this took a long time to come up with, because I said, well, let's do right now. What are people complaining about? They're complaining about G.I. Joe being too political, not very American. They're complaining about Captain America not being true to like how he is in the movies, not being kind of this patriotic hero. So I said, let's make a patriotic character. Let's fill in that gap, because people always complain, Captain Marvel, Captain America, they're not doing what we want. So I sat down and I was like, I cannot come up with a freaking name. I had this list of 58 names, and I was going through the list, and half of them were taken. I was like, Liberty Bell, taken. Stars and Stripes, taken. Like, you just went down, and finally we were getting to like really pathetic names, like Red Glare. Like, geez, like that's an obscure reference. And then the thought occurred to me. I was like, what about like in Dexter's Lab, they had a fake Captain America character named Major Glory. The obvious reference is Captain being a rank, Major being a rank, America, Glory. You can kind of see the connection there. And I said, there has to be something where it is an obvious play on something else, but it makes sense. And I was, again, watching anime, and I was just like, Kamen Rider? Kamen Captain America? Kamen America. Kamen America. That's the name. And so I could not sleep that night. I called Mark like 6 a.m. He's like, what the hell do you want?
I finally figured out the name.
I got the name.
And so I was like, and he was like, I was like, I got the name. And he was like, what is it? I said, the name is Kamen America. And he there was like silence, and he was like, that works, because we can not make it just a superhero thing. We can make it a tokusatsu, because I watched stuff like Ultraman and Power Rangers and stuff. So why don't we do that?
Kamen Rider was the big thing in the 90s, the English dub, through Saban. Yeah.
And that's it. And it just took off. That it just became our flagship title, because
I'm so glad it's not Ramen America.
No, it's not. It's not Ramen.
If you ever do a self parody, that has to be the name now.
Yeah, it has to be Ramen America.
In an alternate universe where it's like
he's obese and just eats ramen.
Like, an alternate universe, Tim is like just making ramen for dinner, and he's like, Ramen America.
She should show up in the next Thump book or whatever.
So I know we're gonna end this in a couple minutes. I just thought of that when you're talking about All Might and some Walmart and stuff. That Kamen America, the main girl, when she turns, she goes blonde. Her powers activates for 3 hours, which is kind of cool. I think I like that she has a limit. They all have limits.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it'd be like Superman. You did your little rant at the con about how they all don't know how to write Superman. They just keep changing as far as like, we're excited about him being married. It's reading about him kids.
Yeah, they can't tell an actual story with the character because they don't understand or respect the character enough to do so.
He's
so they
too
just
overpowered.
change it for whatever
that was the thing. And that's why a lot of people like John Byrne, because he depowered him a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So he made him much more formidable foes. So my point is that you said you're watching what's it called? Crap! What's the name from All Might's from? My Hero Academia.
My Hero Academia. Yeah.
You're coming up with the name. Is that where you decided to do the little poof hair?
The little what?
On Carly's hair. the little strand.
The curly Q.
not
is it a
really.
reference to
So the
Superman, I think is what he
the
said.
the curly Q. I mean, yeah, you have that in like Superman. That typically is just a distinguisher, but in anime, it's called an ahegao, and it's just like a thing. It's just a visual.
I couldn't remember the correct fancy name that you have. I think you introduced that in volume 2, right? You talked about it, 2 or 3.
Yeah. We talked about it in part 3 because it's part of a joke.
Yeah. Because Kamikamo was making fun of her. It's like, you already have
you already have that. And he's like, she's like, my ahoge?
I know, right?
My hoagie?
Hoagie sandwiches?
My hoagie sandwich? No, that's not what that is.
So I was just curious if that was influenced through All Might.
If that was an influence to All Might, no, I don't
think
influenced,
so. But by seeing All Might, because All Might is famous for having the eyebrows.
Yeah, he has an
eyebrows.
No, it's not the eye. I'm looking at one right now. It's not his eyebrows, it's his hair. He has these 2 bangs.
Yeah, it's like these 2 bangs. Yeah, they just come on the
shoot up.
face.
Yeah. No, it was just in I forgot what show I was watching, and I just noticed like, oh, why do these characters have that thing? And I noticed it was prevalent in like everything, and I thought, oh, let's just give her one too.
Yeah. The first time I watched, I saw All Might as a skinny kid. I was like, oh my gosh, what the heck am I watching here? Like that's different. Like this guy, he's scrawny, and I love the humor and that you see in that anime and the manga. So I can see why that might have been a little bit of an influence as far as keeping the lighthearted, the humor and stuff, the reactions. And I think that's one of the reasons why manga and anime sell a lot better than comic books today, because they don't get the humor. They don't get
it's also because manga and anime creators don't have a moralistic contempt for their audiences and for their own in-universe logic.
Well, they also have 30 interns they don't talk about.
Well, there's that, but it's just like what Tim was describing with his creative process. Of sometimes I just do the obvious thing, or sometimes I just let the fans tell me what they want. And you would be amazed how easy things become when you just do those 2 things. Like, just do things that make logical sense and just go with where the fans are pointing you. But instead of that, the modern day artist has a like moralistic ideology where contempt for the fans is the only viable option, and contempt for sane in-universe logic where things organically click together and make sense is the only viable option. And it's like, this is why you fail, because you take the 2 most obvious solutions to your problems and you invert them for moral reasons.
All right. Esmeralda, yes, we have that. Yeah, she says drink. For those who don't know what it is, when Dalton forgets the period and just goes on forever. But he actually didn't go that long today.
No, it's when I go philosophical. You don't even understand the drinking game. You are such an normie sometimes, man.
Anyway, I hear someone typing away.
That is me. I have to type a business email.
It's so funny because I usually, when I can tell when someone's their avatar,
the
little ring does the thing, but it wasn't doing it though. So I'm like, Zach, what are you typing over there?
Typing to a left.
Tim is busy. He can't go 5 minutes without doing something.
We've gone 3 hours. I think we should end.
All right, I'm gonna letter some pages, and I'm gonna finish this webtoon real quick.
I'm gonna crash.
So I've been up for the last few days.
Oh wow!
Not getting much sleep. We'll put it that way. So I'm
Dave,
having to play catch up. The work must get done no matter what. So
there you go. I always say that, like when I look at like all the indie creators, like you guys are definitely like the workhorse.
Yeah,
y'all are just putting out books like clockwork.
6 months from now, he'll be on another YouTube channel.
Yeah.
I remember when we were discussing Myers-Briggs type indicator, and you told me you were in. You asked me to guess what I thought your MBTI was, and I said INTJ, and you were like, how did you guess? And I'm like, because you fit every criteria for it, because you're such a introverted classical nerd workhorse.
I'm very much an INTJ. Like, I fit that to the T.
All right, I'll just do this. Well, actually, that's too long. Do you have the short link for the Kamen America? Let me see if I can find that.
For what, the Kickstarter?
Yeah, that's the one thing I don't like is like, because some websites you can copy the URL and then like
copy the web address.
But like this is like a huge one, so I'm just gonna get the short one. And I'll post that.
I can get the embed one, the short link.
The little one, and then Post it in the private chat. I don't think you can post it there, and then I'll just post it.
Hang on. Post it in the private chat.
Yeah, and I'll post it in the chat here.
Okay.
To let people know where they can go to as far as Kickstarter, Indiegogo, and just look up Kamen America or Tim Lim. Actually, what you do is if you're going to Kickstarter or Indiegogo, type in Black Hops.
Correct.
2 separate words.
Yeah.
And it
Just
pops up
buy
right
just
away.
buy all of Tim and Mark's books. It's a
Yeah.
good time. You
Right.
you won't find a bad one in the bunch. So
There he
buy
goes.
buy
All right.
all of the books.
Oh, did you get it?
Marnie's already got it in the chat.
Oh.
Because that's why we have Marani with a blue wrench, because she is awesome.
She is on top of it.
Maranya is always the queen of the chat because that is how that works.
All right.
Every
So
woman in the world, unless she's not available and Breen's here. Then
once
Breen
more,
is.
this is the Kickstarter link. You can find the Indiegogo link. I believe they're Kickstarter too, don't they? Do you have it on there, or you just this? It's
On the Kickstarter and Indiegogo, I'm on both.
no. Do you show the link at Kickstarter too on that, or you just have them separate?
Oh, it's separate. It's 2 separate
Okay.
ones.
Well, I
Yeah,
just
but
figured-
the link is whatchamacallit. If you go to Kickstarter, we have the link to Indiegogo there too.
Oh, that's what I was
Oh,
asking.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I want to know. Make sure. So
Yeah. So
So-
you can go either location, and then they got all the bundles for like previous Common America
yeah,
books,
yeah.
Black Hops. If you can't find like the Soulfinders, that you can, like you were saying earlier, you can try the Iconic Comics website. I think they just restocked. I was checking while we were streaming. I think they have 1 and 2 up over there as well.
and if you
So-
want to support us, you can do that too. We have a Ko-fi
That's
link
true.
too. So
Yeah, every dollar.
I
in the
promise to
till
get those
helps.
plushies to you. I just don't know when I will. No. But yeah, I mean, we always, we're not here to show for money, But I mean, obviously, we're here for show for Tim.
Yeah.
But, we also have our own thing going on. We have a Ko-fi link because we do read comic books in here. We subscribe to the Marvel and DC app. So even if you just donate $1, that guarantees you that we will read a book that you like, as long as the book's not offensive, and it's on the Marvel DC app. No pirated books.
No, we don't Jack Sparrow over here.
No.
You don't Jack Sparrow.
Yo
You don't
ho,
Michael
yo
Bolton?
ho,
We don't
pirate's
Michael
life for
Bolton,
me.
no.
Yeah.
No Michael
All right,
Bolton
so-
here.
Well, that being said, I think thanks for coming on, Tim.
Yeah.
It's my pleasure.
Awesome. I
Absolutely.
didn't think you were you're free. I thought you were avoiding us.
Nope, absolutely not. It's sometimes hard to get my schedule in, but all you have to
Yep.
do is ask, and then I'll tell you. Like, if
There
I
you
can
go.
make it or not.
Well, yeah, thanks, man. This has been a great time. Good talking with you.
All
Thank
right.
you. Yeah,
It's
my pleasure.
been longer than a basketball game. I don't even watch sports.
Nobody civilized does. We're nerds here.
All right. So Kamen America is live right now for the next 53 days.
That's right.
That's
Go
right.
check
We're
it out.
going
I don't- it's-
strong,
we're after
too. Our
midnight,
numbers
so-
have numbers
Yep.
have not gone down. They've gone up. We're ahead by all metrics, so we're gravy.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
great to hear. I
You're
love
a
it.
rabbit who gives the Energizer Bunny a run for his money.
And-
Thank you. Thank you.
Like I
That's
said,
very
if
flattering.
you don't have the money to buy the book, you can always check it out later. It'll be up over on I believe on Icon Comics probably a year from now.
Iconic Comics website. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. It might take a while, but sure.
Yeah. So budget your money until you get until it comes there. All right. Thanks for coming on, and Dalton, thanks for showing up, and then Eric, special thanks to Eric Breen for being here, and then leaving us. Thank you. All right.
All right.
Have a good night, guys.
Night, everybody.
Bye.